counter the minion wave and also burst out, and because you take electrocute, it can be very easy. We've seen now 2 games in a row where despite early action around Knight, Cream has still been able to fall to the wayside versus his mid lane opponent. So to be really careful. Junglers are both going towards the top side of the map, but Kanavi, most importantly, opted to skip his Raptors. So maybe a little bit more early action, maybe just wants to get ahead of the curve and maybe get a summoner spell out to help out his top laner in this kind of tough lane matchup.
Yeah, I spy a very viable lane through my eye, which would be that Renekton for Bin that you're calling out, is he will slowly finish up that blue buff, and the wave is going to push back towards Bin here, so should be able to get back to a more safe position before Kanavi can get up there. But you called out this mid-jungle duo and that global ultimate threat. We really feel like we're waiting for, you know, the Grand Starfall. It's so interesting how, you know, in a meta that we saw Nocturne dominate for a very long time, we always used to preach, all right, Paranoia timer. When can we use Paranoia? How often can we get successful ones? With Pantheon and his nerfs, it really does feel like he's in a much more similar state where once level 6 comes online for this champion, we need to see those ults being utilized often to snowball this champion further and further. And like Kanavi's tried to do in game 1, snowball TES enough to try and outmatch
bom dia, salve.
or the ticking time bomb that is Billy Gaming.
Doesn't make a play on mid. I think also the theory about skipping his Raptors is usually we've been seeing enemy jungles and teams place wards on jungle to see if they start the Raptors up.
Aí,
As
galera.
you can see, Kanavi did as he was recalling.
Pegando o chat do YouTube aqui.
It means that he will trade the ability to get faster respawn Raptor clears. So maybe
Agora sim.
future
Estamos
clears
escutando
in
bem?
the next few minutes, but it does open up, I think, the lack of information that BLG will have if they
Cara,
will
game
have
1
that. Obviously,
devia ter pego o
they
Billy
did
Billy,
not
mano.
place down any vision, so they don't know where Kanavi
Tirar uma
is.
hora
other
lá
than,
não foi.
I think he hit topside.
Cara, deram GG
topside
Insta
single
depois
boost,
do
so
Baron.
okay, he's somewhere up there. I have to imagine he's somewhere in the area, but both of our junglers going for full clears means that more than likely we're going to get continued jungle camps being finished.
You know what we're not in the vicinity of again, Alk? It may be a bit early to call it, but with the fact that Elk TP's back bot side and you see Bin get back to top side with his
Tô
own
bem
summoner,
hater de CV.
not going to see any sort of lane swaps, which again I thought we might see come out from Billy in game 1.
Ah, graninha.
And he's got to kind of play through
Provavelmente
that same
vai,
lane again as we continue to
provavelmente vai
tie
ser esse
the
disco
game 1 and 2
4,
draft
muito difícil ficar de
contests
fora, eu
between
acho.
TES.
Well, if you at home want to try to get better at jungle, maybe you just want to leverage your bottom lane to stop being pigs and continue to invade, go and check out the sponsor of LPL English, Pro Div. You can get coaching from LTA, ERLs, and any
Estamos ao vivo na
CL
Kick
players.
também,
So
tá?
all of these are tier 2 and below, and they'll be able to help you in individual coaching, level up your game today. You can use LPL 10, save 10% on your order at ProDiv. Thank you, ProDiv GG, for helping out. And we're not getting a swap, Slayer. We've been teasing it.
Nope.
We thought, even in the last game, the swap came a little bit later. And when we look at these two bottom lanes, I think it is up to Jackie Love and Hong to land the most amount of damage. Because for Elk, he's just scaling. He's like, okay, cool. I'm maybe down 10 CS, and I'm still going to be relevant later on.
Oh, I've seen this story play out before. Night between worlds, there's a no world where you survive this mid gank. Again, Kanavi finding first blood onto the golden left hand of BLG back-to-back games.
He has no teleport either.
Ah,
so
difícil ter copar esse
mundial,
mundial, hein?
his cannon wave as well, right next to it. Really good find in 2 games in a row. 1 time is a coincidence. 2 could be the start of a pattern here. Knight absolutely bodying Rookie last time around in his last playoff series, but so far has been found twice now already in this series, and might turn into something that top esports can try
Vantagem cedo, né? Nossa, o Hang quase rouba. Bom dia, Ludevic.
Game 1 here, it's Hong also getting aggressive to try and disturb Beitron on that clear.
Vamos ver se o Tio vai ganhar finalmente, né? O Bilibili vai ganhar finalmente. Bichuan, campeão mundial.
Player of Knight's caliber, like you called out. At least for this time round for Cream, again, he doesn't get the kill, he doesn't get a significant gold lead, but you talked about how Elk is kind of fine, just saying, all right,
Ele vai ganhar sem ele.
whatever damage you throw my way, whatever pressure.
O Shadow, cara, o Shadow.
Get to those item breakpoints. That is kind of how Cream can approach this early game. Now he's breaking out the rise.
He's fine, right? Like, he's he's gonna
Não, eu tô sem
eventually
remédio, mano, de...
first item. He'll get
Ah,
closer to a
merda.
catalyst, and that'll make it very difficult, I think, for Aurora to move him out of the mid lane. There's also some pretty decent ward coverage here.
Show do
in the river.
draft.
Most of it for BLG focused
Não
around the
achei nada
bottom
demais
side
pra mim
of
dos
the
dois
map,
lados.
but Top
Nossa, gente,
Esports
intervalo, vou na
trying to
farmácia
make
rapidão
their
comprar um
shift
remédio, tá?
over. I mean, Elk is going to pick up this bottom lane wave. This needs to be very, very well coordinated here for TES because they're giving up golden experience to this Sivir. All the while, Jackie Love just has to clear this mid wave. I think this is an advantageous trade here for BLG, and they might even get the dragon on top of this.
And this is what we talk about when we mention the Billy Gaming evolution. Maybe a big part of that is Baitron and his form, like you talked about, Elk coming to a new level ever since he re-emerged as the starter here. But it's the fact that they're not over-indexing, panicking to force fights around grubs or spots where they are not in position to do so. And you pointed it out so eloquently. You get a plate, you get solo XP waves on Elk, and they will get that dragon as a trade. So yeah, 3 grubs stinks, but BLG come out with a couple pretty big power points of their own, and we've seen so many times in the past that they would have kind of just bulldozed into a grubs fight that lost them a lot of games.
I just want you to note, everybody at home, look at where all their vision is right now. Elk teleported after this after taking that bottom lane wave. He moves into mid lane, teleports there. This entire time On is sitting topside protecting Bin so that there's not an ability for him.
Quem ganhar aqui tá classificado pro Gordiano.
All in all, Top Esports look to try to make something happen. They use their 3 grubs. Maybe they can get something like a turret plate or 2 for Cream in particular. But aside from that, I would say that this sequence does end up favoring BLG all in all. Kanavi does have Grand Starfall, so the more damage they can make stick onto Bin, the better. But Beichuan's going to be able to stop this if they want, and On can be in the area in 10 seconds.
Good word there from Hong to spot Beichuan trying to take that reset. He'll be forced to stick around here as Bin takes a couple big punches of damage. Actually, a lot more than expected. Dominus can come out. True Shot Barrage going to cancel Beichuan on his reset. What does that do to buy space here for TES? Not much, because like you talked about, the power of this Sivir, it may be a little bit earlier than expected, but this is where Sivir really makes her money. Just being such an unmovable force on mid waves that Jackie Love on an Ezreal that can struggle to wave clear compared to a lot of other AD carries is going to constantly have to answer.
Also, Elk did opt for the Cole here. So Bin uses his Dominus, teleports back up to the top side. They're able to stop Beichuan's recall, but I don't think it's that meaningful. He's still going to clear from his Raptors down into the bottom side of the map and be ready to maybe help out Knight if he really needs it. Most in all, it is just a summoner spell being taken by Top Esports and a single plate. But you were mentioning bottom lane. Jackie Love is barely up 10 CS versus his opponent right now. Even this ultimate from Knight, I think, really does not matter. There's not a fight for, there's not an objective spawning for another 3 minutes
Tá
here.
pegando
So,
hoje
unless
naturalmente.
Top Esports can punish, unless we can see them
O jogo foi meio assim também, né?
make BLG have unforced errors, I still think that BLG are feeling fine and Top Esports have not appropriately accelerated the game.
I think Kanavi is already starting to like panic. We haven't seen him use the Pantheon ultimate. Now he's trying to invade on a Beichuan, doesn't even get the Gromp, takes a fair amount of damage, only sacrifices the Solar Flare. That's a very short cooldown. Top Esports are trying to force down this bot tier 1 turret, 4 versus 3, but 369 is not really that tanky, and bit of a head-scratching overload here from TES, a team that, again, we talked about, needs to make a ton of plays in this phase of the game, and they've come up short outside of 1 gank on the night so far.
So far, what I've seen from Top Esports map movements right now is that they are more focused on just trying to get gold. We saw that top lane play where they traded the dragon. That was to try to get Cream a turret plate on top side. Now here, they're going to use their 3 grubs to try to at least take down maybe another turret plate. I doubt it's going to be the turret in its totality. And maybe we'll see them start to make map movements because they do have these ultimates. I know we've been talking about the Grand Starfall, but Cream as well with the Realm Warp means that they can activate all around the map. Kanavi!
Kanavi, greedy on that blue buff, and Beichuan's going to slap him around. That was the subjugate out of the BLG jungler, so Kanavi maybe going to respect that ultimate does go down. And there won't be much more to find here.
I love this from BLG. Like, they're saying, cool, we're down 1,200 gold. A lot of that is coming from these turrets.
Precisamos de vídeo vendo a reação dos gringos no Reddit. Nossa, essa é muito boa, meu.
Guess what's happening? Elk is even
Fazer.
with his opponent here. So I think that top esports are a little too focused on the short term of making sure they can try to make these break points, but they're not, I think, absolutely realizing what exactly they're giving over on the opposite side of the map. So we've got Dragon spawning in 45 here. Item spikes aplenty here for BLG, but you see right now from top esports, they can very quickly turn off of this Dragon, look towards another side of the map, and try to get some more of that gold as these turret plates are going to fall in a moment.
Speaking on those item power spikes, Elk going to be rocking the Essence Reaver to try and keep that mana bar topped up constantly. Again, just playing into this idea that Elk is here to delete waves in the mid lane and provide BLG ample setup.
Legal, hein?
Much more important future.
Acho que eu prefiro o BLG também, eu tô meio hated de Sivir, né? Mas eu prefiro o BLG também.
It looks like so far with the pressure that Cream and Hong have brought towards this bot side, that they would want to try and even out the Drake stacking, but it's a Hong reset that comes across, and that's going to open up the doors for On to get some more vision down here, and, well, we could set ourselves up for maybe an early scuffle finally coming around that Dragon. We've got no TP on Knight. 369 does have that advantage if anything starts to set up.
Só estão chegando para Fox sem parar, né? Bom dia, Matthew. Bom dia, Truzinho. Ele é tese. Gente, quem puder, cola na kick aí. Dá uma moral.
Top esports are in position. They're getting vision now, and they're denying it from their opponents. They're going to start up this Dragon. There's no ability here for BLG to contest. Just going to be going, try to get some more full clears in. Another mid-wave here for Elk. And just holding on to the game. Just keep it going steady. Top esports do have some pretty important item spikes coming through. And I expect that this Otacon in 5 minutes will have the most important fight. Not just because of this objective being the way it is, but I imagine that top esports will have access to fully stacked Muramana and Trinity Force for Jackie Love, and same here for Cream.
Alk, I'm holding the LPL script, like the whole season script here.
That says DMV on it. You're lying.
I'm holding the script here, and I'm confused. Like, am I just reading game 1 over again? It's so many parallels.
Eu olhei isso e falar, Fox, ele é horrível, né? Tá vendo muito mal, né? Desde que ele tomou tequila comigo aqui no Brasil, mano, deu ruim. Só jogo pior, já falei isso aí.
Game 1 in about 15 minutes, and our desk was talking about it constantly. Where can the mistakes change here for top esports? This is where things started to kind of collapse for them. And like you called out, BLG are much more comfortable playing the long game this time round compared to that game 1.
Ele jogou muito aquele ano, né? Que ele ganhou da G2, ele tava jogando bem.
369. TP's coming through for Bin. They can have Knight walk down as well. The Eye gonna get punched out here. Could it be a 50-50? Bin doesn't want it that way. He's going to pop the Dominus and try
Ele vai pegar o Arauto.
CS off, but Kanavi with that Pantheon passive gets the Rift Herald, but now he's getting stun locked in place. Bin, though, has to dash back out of the Dominus. Between Worlds comes across for Knight. Just dash back goes backside the fight as On sends himself in, but Elk doesn't have enough damage and ability to step up. Beijuan's going to pick up the Eye, and On with Flash is going to have to get out over the pit. Beijuan and Bin usher themselves out as well, so it's a ton of summoners burned. And it's Kanavi that walks away with the Eye in top esports' favor.
Ele piorou muito, gente, pela Fox.
Okay, I'm picking this up. I'm playing Cassante. You can't stop me from getting into this pit right here. And all in all, no kills going over. Kanavi seems like
tendo ano horrível de carreira, né?
Beijuan and Bin, they have to flash as well. And even Knight, he lands a 4-man ultimate. Doesn't get any kills there.
Mano, a Aurora tá muito atrás, gente.
Karma will be very, very important to whether or not top esports can survive some of these fights versus Billy. I will not lie to you here, Leo. I think when I see these teams and I see the way that BLG are playing, it isn't perfect. But this seems and feels like a BLG that is a little bit more calm, a little bit more collected in some of these fights. And more importantly, they're playing a style that I feel like top esports are playing very, very similarly to how BLG played a lot of the times in the regular season. So it just is a weird,
não sei, eu prefiro a culpa do Billy também.
Situation to happen, especially here in the upper finals.
Well, maybe we'll see some return to skirmishing on the top side. There's the Grand Starfall through for Kanavi. Stun locked and no flash on Bin. Kanavi finally finds a pick with that global ultimate, and here comes another one. Cream gonna realm warp right on top of On, who does a good job to stun land the solar flare. But on this turret is lying to you. This is not a safe haven. This is a warning mark.
E tô achando que existe um mundo da segunda vaga aí contra o 100 Thieves, né?
Abandons the turret and he's gonna have to abandon his health bar as well. TES find the pick,
Matar o
just
Jackie Love
like
aqui.
he won.
Matou.
Jackie Love
Legal.
is picked off as the return for BLG.
Vai cair
Don't think it
T2 lá.
matters, though. Teleport's going to go down towards bottom side, so 369 is going to pick up this wave. Top Esports with 3 grubs and a herald will grab 2 turrets in trade. BLG will finally take down this mid-tier 1. And now, Slayer, with all of the gold and finally some action here from Top Esports, that might be the gold lead that they need that gets them into a good spot going into this Otacon that we referenced 4 minutes ago. We're looking at how Jackie Love got caught. He thought he could walk into this brush again.
Same brush.
Last time it was Corky, this time it's Ezreal, and they both end the same with him dying to BLG. But now a 3,000 gold lead here for Top Esports, and they will have a pretty massive gold advantage going into Otacon. Look at those items.
Tá muito fraco, né?
Look at 369.
Pô, tinha que matar esse cara aí, não?
Knight is laying a trap. He had On and Baytron close by. So be able to walk out of that one. You talked about the items.
Pô, não sei, mano. Essa série é boa, né? Pode ser 3-2 pra qualquer lado aí.
He does not have flash. Elk does. So that's big to watch for some of these fights where, yes, we mentioned Jackie Love got picked out in the same spot in game 1, but he also was routinely targeted and sort of nerfed from doing a lot of big impactful
Cruzeiro Bahia.
when he wasn't able to
Vai ganhar lá 1-0.
flash summoner. See if that impacts
Gol
the
dele.
dragon that spawns about 20 seconds. Otacon,
Artilheiro.
less than a minute away as
Artilheiro
well.
nato.
But Billy Gaming not strong enough in their carries just yet, I feel like, to warrant their ability to fight on an even 5v5 playing field. You still want all Elk to get towards one of those big damage items. Thinking IE third, he's at 2 items now. Knight looking for one of those big magic damage items as well. But despite all this, BLG are looking for fight angles. It's just that On hit everything outside of the champions in front of him.
Oh my god.
Hong gonna have to flash away from Baytron running him down, and things are starting to get a bit murky around this pit.
Casante's going to be able to walk over. He'll have all out. It's back to the mid waves. These next 6 minutes here for Top Esports are going to be the best that they've ever had here in this game. Muramana is fully stacked here. In 4 minutes, a lot of ages completed. So imagine he'll be closer to level 15, level 16 at that point. Maybe with an Otacon, he actually gets to that 3rd point with his ultimate ability, gets more damage onto his overload stacks. And with all of the focus onto Hong, great movement coming in from the Top Esports support, opens up an angle here for Top Esports to take the dragon and continue to snowball their lead here in this game number 2.
A big pain point for BLG if they want to be able to stay present at this Otacon. I'm looking at Knight's inventory, all right? He's sitting on a massive amount of gold, it feels like. But if you can get a reset off here, he has his TP. If BLG are not going to let this Otacon go to the wayside,
Knight tá querendo
our split 3 MVP needs
fechar as
to be
zonas.
now, but he doesn't have time for it all.
They're not going to be able to go in here. There's all some
E o Elk tá de
spells and the
TP.
ultimate here available for On.
Agora virada
Could
Bilibili.
kidnap a single member.
Ah, o bicho só dá uma mordida nesse atacante aí só.
Ben gets chunked out of the fight though on
Ué.
the top side, 50-50.
Ué.
This time
Ué.
Baytron wins it, steals away the Octagon, and now they're feeling cocky, trying to run down TES, but Baytron's gonna hold his horses. Jackie Love pretty far chunked out. Ben's gonna lose access to this dominance, and BLG, again, a new trait we're seeing them show in this series.
Ué.
Really smart restraint after they take the Octagon.
I am just absolutely puzzled as to what 369 and Cream are doing in this fight.
Oh my god,
Knight is using the ultimate?
Oh, okay, Knight, hey, listen,
He's
Between
out.
Worlds gets you in and gets you out, and the pillar down, Konami Elk's flashing
Elk?
forward for
What?
him, and gets one measly auto down. Okay.
Elk just completely messed up all of that. Teleports into the play to begin with. Flashes, cancels an auto attack. I don't know what is going on between these two. Like, we take a look back at this fight. Look at where Cream and 369 are. Why are we not stopping Baytron from walking in? You're the only front line here for this team. It's not going to be Jackie Love. It's not going to be Hung. So a massive mistake here from Top Esports. They lose that Otacon. It's going to give them some more experience going over to BLG. It doesn't equalize the gold. All in all, it is Top Esports making a few mistakes there, and maybe BLG trying to overextend, feeling a little bit more in their bag after getting that objective.
And they're buying
Tanta coisa,
time
não?
for that sweet wine of a scaling comp to come further and further.
Pô, a Bilibili
forward.
pegou
Elk,
o
gonna commit some, a bit of gold.
o atacão,
some
mano.
field cut. Do you think that's a pretty smart purchase into some of the abilities that Hog does provide for top esports here. But now,
Dois times perderam o flash do jungle do AD.
start to shift towards Baron in about 2 minutes, as always. Looking at some of the experience gains as well, I'm glad you pointed out. Right now, Elk, I mean, he is, what, nearly 2 levels up right now onto Jackie Love? It's such a big pain point, and why you see so many people talk about Otacon as the prize to get in a game of League of Legends.
And the only people that have advantages right now for top esports is going to be Kanavi and Cream. We saw last game it was Kanavi and 369, and how that went obviously was not in the cards there for top esports. But Kanavi needs to make something happen, and with these long lanes now on the opposite sides, any trades that the solo laners take could turn into a kill. Knight might be caught. There's still an ultimate available for Kanavi.
Oh, great. Rune Prism. He's going to use the rumble to the other side of the Between Worlds. Knight. Redemption's going to come down here for some extra damage.
Talvez aqui é contra...
The stars falling on top of Knight. It's Kanavi using another great Pantheon ult to find a pick for top esports.
No summoner spells taken there by Knight, so 40 seconds he'll be back up, and he'll have to be ready for what is going to be a Baron in a minute, and in 10 seconds after that, the Dragon as well. Top esports feel a lot more in control now that they can actually properly play side lanes. We saw with the Annie pick, they could only maybe push one extra wave, and then Annie had to go and rejoin with the rest of the team. Nobody there to really help him out in those side lanes. So now, when Ryze is a lot more self-sufficient, good kill going on tonight, and exactly what we were looking for when you have all of these globals.
Well, we haven't gotten it in too many spots early on. It's good to see that Kanavi's still committed to finding those picks, the main strength of top esports, overarchingly as well. It's important to remember that the way TES are favored in this matchup in a lot of our minds here at LPL English is their macro and map ability. So whenever Kanavi can tap into that with Cream, it's going to provide some pretty big fruits, succulent fruits for success later here with top esports. Right now, though, they are marking this Drake pit. They're trying to make sure that they have just vision control, because it is always such a dangerous dance, such a pivotal position in a game when Baron and a late Dragon are on the rift at the same time.
Ele tinha que pegar esse Drake, mano. Não podia tomar esse Drake não, senão fica muito...
They've got a top lane wave. 369's not going to be able to commit the teleport. Should be a
pouco de gold agora.
for Billy, which means gold in their back pocket. What does Elk complete here? Because he's going to teleport. He's going to teleport back into the mid lane wave. Sells the Doran's Blade before the turret falls, has this last, has the Mortal Reminder now. So armor penetration is very important versus 369, but I'll be honest here, Slayer. I really would have liked to have seen an Infinity Edge. I think when you look, you have a Trundle to take away all of the resistances from at least one member. You're also going to have natural resistances lost because All Out shreds those away from the Cassante.
Yep.
The only thing I think that's helping out BLG is this Sivir and having this mid-tier one, which right now we haven't seen, I think, top esports really utilize the longer lanes outside of that single kill on tonight we just saw.
How about such a sleeper Drake take there from TES? Hold on, Solar Flare is going to land on top of Hong, but look at the healing and shielding he gets back just like that. No real threat onto the Enchanter support for here for top esports. Again, though, Billy, they don't really sacrifice much. That Solar Flare should come up pretty soon as they continue to wrestle for control of this river.
It's so tough here for BLG because if they oversend the
Alright.
There, that is the Realm Warp and Grand Starfall used, and the only summoner they gain is Knight, but more importantly, around the Baron pit.
It pulled BLG off of pushing this bottom lane wave, which means that top esports are getting a little bit.
Em đêm nay ngon và căng cực. Ăn một xăng chành cùng đi ăn mực. Áo bao căng tròn là vùng ngực. Nói đây mày phải ôm lấy câu. Giờ biết làm gì hay còn nóng rồi. Rượu cũng đã uống cũng đã nhắm môi. Ký túc xá quên cũng đóng rồi. Anh tự nhiên là đau bụng lắm rồi. Hay có nhà nghỉ để ta vào. Mấy phút em đi sao nào. Đi vệ sinh thôi sẽ không kỳ đâu. Anh thế.
Oh my god.
O homem! Uma máquina! Uma besta enjaulada! Com ódio!
Caralho, moleque, eu nem vi como é que o Bin tava matando todo mundo do nada.
Way too much damage, and Beitron on this
Vamos virar neles, vamos virar neles, vamos virar neles, vamos virar neles. Vamos virar neles, gente. Vamos virar neles. Boa, boa, boa. Vamos lá, vamos lá, vamos lá, vamos lá.
Na festa do Carlinhos Maia, só lá bubu. Ela chega com Bob Goods, morango
Pega
do
esse aí
amor,
também. Ai,
morango
meu
do
Deus.
amor, morango do amor. De pistache amor, morango. Na festa do Carlinhos Maia. Na festa do Carlinhos Maia.
BLG have spent too much time chasing.
Começou a fazer o Baron, pô. O jungle deles estava lá, né?
Massive mistake.
Agora a gente faz o Baron agora, pô.
This time, they at least are the ones with the
Ô, Bin, ele quer mais. Ele quer mais, ele quer mais. Essa foi pra acordar vocês, hein? Bora.
And now BLG turn towards the Baron again. Kanavi up at 10 seconds with the Grand Starfall. Cream still present.
Meu Deus. Acaba logo isso aí, mano. O Coisa vai tentar ultar lá o Kanavi. Vai dar tempo, não.
Billy Gaming wearing purple on all five.
Tomaram susto.
Now, BLG, we have to fix these side lanes right now. We have a dragon spawning in a minute and a half. We have to push this top wave coming on through. This bottom lane as well. They use their Baron right now to sit in mid lane. Jackylov's going to take a little bit of time to clear this, but that is going to be the next order of business here for Billy.
A faculdade sem fone, tá maluco, mano.
Scryers and the last second cancel onto Jackylo.
Temos que pegar esse Drake agora.
They get back their 3,000 gold deficit. They grab the Baron and multiple kills onto Top Esports.
It's just so painful knowing how well Jackylo has been playing, not just all split long to receive his MVP, but even in these playoffs. You could say it's been weaker opponents, but Jackylo has been in such prime position, and he's been nothing but on point this series. And oh boy, we're just going all after Cream. Nice Seraph Shields, bro. See you later. Bin is running this game too for BLG.
They're going to drop this mid-tier 1 and set themselves up around this dragon that spawns in 30. How much more can Top Esports get? It'll probably be at least this mid-tier 1. It is Sivir by herself, but On and Bejuan are here. They don't even get the turret at all. Top Esports are crumbling, and I think that this comes at a really important time, not only for their carries, but for Jackylo. We talked about it earlier in one of their earlier series here, but Jackylo with a lot of health issues right now, being outspoken about potentially...
Foi no banheiro, até se perdeu como, Eric? Ah, se foi no banheiro? Mano, Jackylo tomou uma mordida do Trando e acabou o jogo.
This is not the way that we want to see what the official LPL broadcast dubbed as the MVP for split number 3. BLG will be able to grab their second dragon of the game.
É, a entregada mesmo foi no atacante.
Royalty in Jackylo as well as we're not even gonna. We didn't have time to broach the conversation of Hong. Just completely picked off. Starting to really feel the pain.
Rise Montage, cadê?
Em đêm nay ngon và căng cực. Ăn một xăng chành cùng đi ăn mực. Áo bao căng tròn là vùng ngang ngực. Làm anh thấy mê phải uống nó to lực. Giờ biết làm gì hay cũng nóng rồi. Rượu cũng đã uống cũng đã nhắm môi. Ký túc xá quen cũng đóng rồi. Anh tự nhiên là đau bụng lắm rồi.
A phase I do want to mention, by the way, was talked about as kind of the
Qual o nome dessa música?
zone here for BLG. They've been a team that've been kind of
sei também, né? Calma aí.
Factor. And again, it goes back to these conversations we're having. This just feels weird because this is just not the BLG that we've gotten accustomed to.
No, they're a team that always average in the LPL was 1,300 gold difference at 15. These guys were incredibly strong. Knight was the #1 mid laner.
Aqui o nome da música aqui, ó.
To have a positive gold difference at 15 was
Link aí.
485. Elk as well was
Quem quiser o link da música. Só digitar, só basta ler, mano, basta ler. É a música do Labubu, mano.
Now here in this game, it almost feels like yes, Top Esports are playing the style that we have known from them, which is a full court press, play with priority, let's play around Kanavi, but I feel like BLG are allowing Top Esports to make mistakes. They're saying, okay, we know you're going to trip up, let's just take the scaling because we know that in scaling wars or in a setup, if we're talking about hands difference going later in the game, we think we're better than you. So who cares about lane? get ourselves a team fight comp that's going to work around 25 to 35 minutes.
O game tava 2k na frente e agora tá só 500 de gold. Que pena, que pena.
You have to prove that you are up to the talent level that we bring. That's the message BLG is saying with this new strategy. And you talk about the team fight compositions, and there's a big topic that we had before all those big barons. Okay, hold on. They're going after Elk here, and they might finally have him. Good McHale's, though.
Meu Deus, meu Deus. Meu AD Carry não vai morrer fácil, não. Meu AD Carry não vai morrer fácil, não. Vamos lá, vamos lá, vamos lá, vamos lá. Morde esse, morde o EZ, Beixuan. Meu Deus, Beixuan, você não tá mordendo muito, não. Ai, meu Deus do céu. Tá, o Elk tava... Que isso, gente. Beixuan trollou. Tem Drake, tem nada vivo, tá de boa, tá de boa.
There it is. It's going to be mid-tier 1 and a fight that was so close to going towards BLG ends up falling towards
Tem que ser direto com necessidade justa, pode. Pode, mano. Dá uma seguradinha hoje. Foi feio pra caralho.
A lot of gold now for them to be able to spend. Jackie Love hits his 4th item here. Back at this replay, they thought Elk was a little too far up. They know he doesn't have Spell Shield. I think that is really, really clean play coming on through. But one of the things we haven't touched on this game has been the evolution in supports. Cubby has been talking about redemption. We saw in the JDG series that Joel was focusing more on picking up McHale's, and we see that here for
Deram muitos flashes, né?
Leona.
E vi sem flash agora.
Jackie Love living as well, I think, is so crucial to this fight, but
E sem flash a próxima fight. Nice jogou mal demais, mano.
Jackie Love heard the doubters getting louder and really pilots that fight on the edge of his limits there. And like you called out, Hong, the value of this karma, the McHale's, the redemption, and more importantly, the big mantra shields. Is it still, though, going to be enough Elk to try and contend with BLG? Because we talked about Elk's build path being maybe a problem, but that's a pass now. Elk's got the IE, and if they can do a better job protecting him, feels like we still favor Billy Gaming with the game 35 minutes post.
He has no flash coming on through. If I'm Elk, I'm saying, okay, we have to be able to play a front-to-back team fight. Dragon is spawning in 35. BLG... if they can pull off a gambit here, if they can see if they can bait their opponents, they know they're not on Baron. Cream is just now walking. If he shows on vision, do BLG immediately just try to call their bluff, look for someone? The Trundle Pillar barely escorts 369 out of this mid wave. BLG are going to exit towards the top side. Who is going to solo this dragon? They cannot give up any kind of priority around the bottom side of the river.
I think BLG want to switch spots here with TES. They know that they need to get this Hextech Soul. Oh my, true shot barrage. And the poke coming through for Jackie Love. He's starting to feel himself now.
Tá ruim, tá muito TES aqui. Tem que dar BTP, tá muito TES já. Já começaram a fazer o Drake. Meu Deus do céu.
Right, guys? They've got a mid-wave, they'll recall. Hong can look to use some of these portals to get back out onto the map. Maybe they're just going to try to posture around this Baron right now. This is the longest, it's only game 2. I feel like we've been in this for so much longer, but with the way that this game has gone, now with the Hextech Soul, have to imagine that Top Esports are in a really strong spot in this game, but how do we deal with Sivir? How are we going to get around some of these really important timings on some of these champions? I mean, still no flash for the next 30 seconds.
Okay, Cream. Don't know what that Realm Warp was supposed to be.
It was a bait. He was like, okay, maybe they'll just send it in on the Realm Warp here.
Yeah, instead BLG smack away the hook with the bait on it and say thank you very much. It does push them off the Baron. BLG really trying to force it down. Jackie Love can eat a Zenith Blade. Good arcade shift back though, and boy, all is
Bom, só mandou me mata de uma vez ali pra cima do Jack Love, né? E o Elk não tá batendo nada em ninguém, velho. Assim já.
Respawns back up. Jackie Love, though, is just layering all these mystic shots. Sure, Knight, you go into your stasis, but Jackie Love says, Knight, you can pick me off once, but I'm making it a problem for the rest of this game.
Yeah. Em đêm nay ngon và căng cực. Ăn một xăng chành cùng đi ăn mực. Áo bạc căng tròn là vùng ngon cực.
Salma não dá muito forte.
legendary fight between these two players, Jackie Love and Knight. The fight for MVP.
Tentar contestar isso aí.
The crown
Jack
prince
Love tá
of
low,
top
né?
esports. Knight growing up on this academy team, Jackie
Oh, o
Love
Jack Love tá
now.
muito low ali, mano.
Oh, he's still just so confident, playing right on the edge of his range. Baron secured, Bin on the backside of this fight, doesn't have any dominance. Kanavi's going right after El. Good spell shield comes
Soltou
down.
o
but
flash do
Bin
El, como ele tá
falls
morto.
first. El, how good can you kite
O
back
El que vai
here?
bater,
Trying
não?
to buy some space. Kanavi gets knocked out of
Ih,
his
esse
jump.
passinho pra
El,
frente
though, is gonna
matou
get
ele.
knocked down by Jackie Love again, who finds his revenge and is scaled
O jogo.
back into prime form when TES needed it most.
Even gets a heal off of that Mikhail's. Bin not able to cancel.
Ó o
the
Bin, mano.
rebounds
Opa.
here. Maybe he finds this
Meu
kill
Deus,
on the
Bin se
off,
matou.
gonna get double
Bin se
solar
matou.
flares from Top Esports.
Run, Bin, run. All right, that solar flare is pretty clutch, but here's
Oh,
a realm
God.
warp. Oh, Cream this time. Cream
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
GG.
yeah. Em đêm nay ngon và căng cực. Ăn mà sang
Nice
tranh
boy,
cùng
mate.
đi ăn mực. Áo bạc căng tròn là vùng năng lực. Làm anh thấy mày phải uống nó tăng lực.
Flash trade, and they're bringing the Baron wave right
GG.
knocking on the door of BLG's base.
This is game number 2 going over to Top Esports. Iffy midsection there, but Top Esports get it done in the end, and Cream really stands tall alongside his AD.
Oh, Knight goes after Hong, but he'll have to
Matou a
sacrifice
calma ali o
himself.
Knight,
Knight's
calma
trying
aí.
to pull
Agora
away the
sim,
wave
Knight.
from the turret here alongside
Matou a calma
Hong.
adversário
Base one is
ali.
respawn. That redemption is pretty clutch, but
Mano, o
Jackie
Cream
Love
tá meio
has
troll
his
ali, não?
eyes set on an even series, and
Tá
there's
não.
nothing BLG can do to stop him. The LPL Split 3 MVP.
Ai,
opens
meu
our
Deus do
series
céu.
after one apiece.
Trollado, hein?
That's what I like to see, man. I was so worried. We got to that one team fight around the dragon, and it looked a little iffy. And Otacon even goes over to BLG, and Top Esports clean up the series. A lot of important champions now taken, already 2 games deep into Fearless. And with BLG losing here, I feel like such important champions. Aurora taken away from Knight, and a loss as well. Renekton taken away from Bin. Topside matchups are really starting to open up between our 2 solo lanes.
And on top of that, too, Marksman Elk has been a huge Sivir player. You lose that off of him as well. We have the Enchanter coming out. There's so many intriguing little intricacies that Fearless will now provide to us, especially now knowing we will go at least 4 games thanks to a Top Esports.
Ou vou lá na farmácia pra comprar um remédio, tá? Já volto aí.
So far, and what a job our analyst desk has to break down it all. We're going to throw it back to their side. Grapes, Cubby, and K-Man, what did we just see from Top Esports?
Well, we see the LPL Gold Graph incarnate in the form of Jackie Love in that game. My name is Grapes, that's K-Man, and that is a YouTube video, aka Cubby, here to break it down this second game. As Slayer said, a true series now. Its competition has reached its apex with Top Esports evening things out at 1-1. K-Man, it was another slow start for TES, and we thought that they were going to get outscaled, and then Jackie Love hit a switch, and now we are here tied at 1.
Yeah, scaling's really a mindset at the end of the day. You can look at champions. Some are better, some are worse in the late game. If you've got Jackie Love, you scale. You maybe have some moments in the early part of that game that are up and down, that you got some good and bad, but really, if you've got an Ezreal who's gliding at the end like that, and proactivity coming in from some of the engages from other members of the team, then it doesn't really matter if the damage is looking more consistent. You're going to be able to pull something like that out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was Jackie Love. Like, we were prepping about talking about him getting caught, not playing well, and then Jackie Love just ends up 1v9ing, frankly, the last 2 fights. This was a game where the Ezreal Karma could be good. There's not a lot of range on the BLG side, and Jackie Love, he was down like 2 levels to Elk. Did not matter in those fights because he was using the Ezreal so well.
3 levels. I think it was 15 to 18 around that fight in the mid lane inhibitor, and man, what a different. What a tale of 2 halves of this game, especially for somebody like Jackie Love. I mean, we talked about some of the struggles that he's had kind of throughout the season and the inconsistencies that maybe could be attributed to some of the health issues that he's been going through as well. But really turning things to a new gear, Cubby, this split. And, you know, at the end of the day, this game, we still have seen some of those mistakes that were prevalent earlier on. But something that always has been the case for Jackie Love this year is even when he was making some of these individual mistakes early in games, he would always be able to clutch up late, and we saw that right here.
Yeah, I mean, Jackie Love, look, he was the MVP for a reason. And it came out, like, we were sitting here on the desk in that mid-game, like, man, I mean, I tweeted out, if Jackie Love was playing 20% better, I think the Top Esports could be up 2-0. I think he stepped up and played 50% better in the last few fights and got the team to win. Because we have seen him get picked off a little bit And this isn't the Jakulov that we're really used to seeing in the LPL. I mean, I know when this guy was young and winning early on, it was like, oh my god, he's such a volatile player. Like, there are issues that we can figure out later on because his upside is so big. He hasn't been that in the last couple of years in the LPL. He's actually been a pretty consistent, solid AD. We, of course, see moments where he still steps up and makes some errors, but he really has flushed those out of his play. But man, we saw the aggression at its peak this game. I think that as things went later on, we really saw the Leona and BLG struggle to close the gap and actually find these engages. And Top Esports, with the Karma, with the redemptions and some of the resets and the range they had, played out these long fights very well. But yeah, this is the point of the game, K-Man. We were looking at this like, man, what is Jakulov doing? Like, this is the second time in the game where he got caught at a really bad spot for his team. And the conditions of Ezreal being no mana and low health and being chased out early on, thanks to Bin playing well around it, pretty much lost his team the fight and made it so that he had to really find heroics later on to win this game for his team.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, right? Is that for 20 minutes of this game, we were talking about, man, Jakulov is selling it. Like, he is running it, absolutely losing this series for his team in multiple winnable areas with bad positioning, bad resource management, just everything, right? Like, down in XP and levels, it just felt like everything was off for him. So leave it to Jakulov to be the one to, you know, kind of step up. I know a lot of conversation has been made about, you know, Jakulov going through quite a few things this year, and this potentially being one of the last few times we get to see him. You know, he's certainly making an impact on the game as a whole. I think the optimism here for TES is if Jakulov plays, you know, even just a couple of notches down from this, but, you know, closer to this in the early game, like, you should be up 2-0. You should be in a spot where you're controlling this series. And, you know, they've looked pretty fantastic as long as they're able to get that kind of good play out of their AD.
I mean, seeing TS go for that play, diving the mid lane tier 1 and losing a member early, I was very worried about what that was going to look like for them, but Jakulov ends up just hitting every single spell, winning that fight for them. And, you know, we'll be able to continue Sugar Talk and Jakulov a little bit more as we get later on into this death segment. But talking about BLG here as well, Cubby, it seemed like with On being the primary engaged on this Leona, those win conditions were never getting laid out properly.
No, and I think that it really started, it was an earlier replay, but it was Kanavi finding Elk in that mid lane after he burned the spell shield that really started the chain of events for Top Esports to bounce back in. I think something that was shown off screen that we might talk about is that Hextech Soul, which was a game changer, was pretty much lost by On, deciding to lose half his HP and his redemption before the Dragon even spawned or was started. I do think that Leona wasn't the best pick for this game. Like, with the Leona, I think you're definitely signing up for, okay, guys, we've got Renekton, Aurora. I know that we have Sivir, but we have to win and find ways to close the gap and pressure this early game, or else we could have some trouble. I think that as the game went later on, we saw Leona kind of struggle with some of these engages. I don't think that On had a particularly good game, but the Leona definitely left me at least scratching my head a bit. I think that other options might have been better that game going into the Karma. Like, you could have... they have played a lot of Trundle Karma as a combo, which I really like. And you could have had On, like, dig deep for something like a Lulu there. I know that your lane gets really hard. Actually, Lulu against Ezreal Karma is pretty impossible, but I'm wondering if there was a better pick for lane that On could have taken, or even just Nautilus to have that guaranteed depth charge. We've really seen Nautilus fall out of priority, but I think that was a game where it was somewhat viable, because we saw Leona really struggle later on.
Yeah, I think the Leona ended up being basically useless throughout this endgame. Like, there was almost no play that ended up being valuable to have that champion. I will give a lot of the onus of that onto On's performance. I think that there could be some potential areas for improvement in terms of the execution of that. But I agree, I think Leona is difficult to execute on here, and if you are going to be playing for what essentially BLG was doing, which is looking at the early game here, seeing Top Esports want to push the tempo and saying, you got it, like, we're going to neutralize the game, we're just going to play this really slow. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. But Cream actually going to pick up the MVP here, likely due to Jakulov's early game.
I thought that it was a Kanavi MVP just because he turned the game around. But one thing that's been a commonality in these first two games we've had has definitely been a focus that Kanavi has put with Cream on the Knight in the mid lane. And we have seen Knight start each game behind because of that focus from Top Esports. I think that's been a significant part of the series so far and want to look out for the rest of it.
Said age-old saying, don't let him beat you, him being Knight. And Top Esports definitely living up to that game plan. I mean, multiple games now here in this series where the MVP that we just crowned here for Split 3, starting off the game 0-2, 0-3. And K-Man, obviously BLG were able to turn around that first game, but when you have your best player kind of on the back foot, it does create a little bit of a more difficult situation for BLG to manage.
That's what I was talking about in the pre-show here when we were kind of hyping up BLG. I was talking about it in a positive way where I was saying, oh, when you have Knight, like, you're going to be a favorite to win the LPL, to be someone that, like, he's arguably the best player in the league. Well, now the question is, if you don't have Knight, or at least if you have 50% of what Knight normally is because he's getting, you know, so many resources denied from him in the early game, who else is that title-winning, you know, top esports beating threat? You saw Elk kind of perform like that in game number 1, but in game 2, you didn't have the best player on the Rift. You didn't have the players that were stepping up when you needed to, and if Knight is not going to be given the chance to do that, someone else has to do that on this team.
I think it's a great point, and that's where we can start kind of rolling some of the clips, because we thought it was going to be a BLG going up 2-0 off of JackeyLove getting caught out a couple times. Because the best player, at least in MVP voting for top esports, I think the 2 stars of this team for sure, Kanavi and JackeyLove, but we saw JackeyLove get off to another slow start. I mean, this is a really positive play happening on the top side while this is going on for top esports. JackeyLove pushed this wave all the way in, and this is one where you can just catch it as the Ezreal and be okay. You don't have to be in that spot. And then here, JackeyLove takes a base that is unwarranted. He gets chased out by BLG, ends up having really poor conditions for this fight. The fight starts with him at, what, 1/4 health, and I think even more importantly, no mana. And we saw what JackeyLove was able to do in some of the later fights after this when he had better conditions and he was positioned better. But in this fight, he gets ran by Bin because he can't help in the fight. He doesn't have mana.
Yeah, I mean, we could see, like, the hands on this guy always there, but sometimes my man needs a little more willpower. Just go back to base, go to the Baron, fight around that instead of just getting completely eviscerated by that Crocodile. And that was a big problem here, obviously, at the start of the game. And just a couple of, different decisions being made for JackeyLove, and maybe it's a lot of an easier of a game came in.
Yeah, I think you're talking about it, right? Like, it's such a small change, but you take even just one of those catches out, especially that second one, and things are fine. Like, even when he got caught the second time, like, they were still up 2K gold in that game. They were still in a spot where they could control a lot of things. It just, you need to get rid of all of the problems in terms of how things are happening. But I think that's the lucky thing, right? Is not only did JackeyLove step up and start to solidify himself, but nobody else on BLG really became that threat. I know we haven't spoken on it much, but Beichuan was not good at the end of that game. He had a lot of really misplayed team fights, and I think he really needed to play a little bit more aggressive on the Trundle. I think some of the peel coming in later, just wasn't a huge fan of it.
It wasn't existent. We can start rolling the clips for 3 and 4 too. This is where I really like the Karma and the Ezreal on 4-5 for top esports, because it is a thematic counter for what was cooking from BLG. This, for me, was the play of the game. Elk burns his spell shield instantly from Kanavi, makes the call with JackeyLove. I know that it was a pog for Cream, but this, for me, was a game-winning play from Kanavi. I thought that he had a good pog argument just purely off this, because from here, we really saw top esports take the tempo back on the map. And JackeyLove, again, he had conditions, had the help of Hong, was actually able to kite, use the range, use the arcane shifts from Ezreal to make sure that he was positioned really well in this fight. Knight has a poor flash, overcommits to try and kill JackeyLove. Even if he doesn't take JackeyLove out there, I think the positioning of 369 and Cream, he still dies for that. So unwarranted play coming in from Knight. As you can say this one came in, but another fantastic fight from JackeyLove. Hextech sold us BLG no favor, especially with On really choking the engage here.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? Hextech Soul is huge here, and they got it for free, basically, because of a bad engage from On. Let's not forget about that. But, I mean, this is just one of those spots where BLG in a slightly better position are able to really kind of push forward and hold that choke a little bit more, and you don't have the room to operate anymore. JackeyLove can't just glide, and Hong can't just step up and do all these things. It's these minor differences. It's the small spacing errors that, top esports are either making or they're, being forced into making because of, BLG making some mistakes on their own that just end up really controlling the game and pushing it in their own favor.
Yeah, I mean, just a ton of really great team fights at the end here. By top esports in general, obviously just the decisiveness for Kanavi to go for that play in the mid lane, and then obviously the sheer hands that we saw from one of the superstars of top esports ever since he's been back in JackeyLove. But, before we get into game number 3, and by the way, shout out to our producer Adam for getting those clips up a little bit better than us here on the talent desk.
Producer Cubby lasted as long, long as a playoff run as Shadow on BLG, so I can at least take that with me, One game playoff run, baby. Producer Cubby, let's go. Social's Cubby did better. Social's Cubby did better.
There's still more of this series left. There's still more of the playoffs left. Who knows? Maybe we'll sub Cubby back in. But yeah, us casters, sometimes there's memes about people in esports just being a man-child, like with the amount of trash around your house, and sometimes the OBS clicking. Not great for us here either. But okay, Cubby, gonna throw it back to you here. BLG have had Knight really under just a ton of pressure in the early game. This is your MVP. What do you do to get him going in game number 3?
Oh, geez. I mean, look, I think Knight actually has to play better. I do think that Knight, a couple of these instances where he's been caught, it's been unwarranted. Like, we're looking at that last fight, flashing for Jakulov, wasn't a reach. That's a big mistake from Knight. I think that him starting this far behind, this is not the Knight that I'm used to seeing, used to knowing. And I think that BLG, I mean, this is something where behind the scenes as a coach, like, what are the commonalities between the first 2 games? Top Esports has thrown a lot into the mid lane, like trying to set Knight behind. I mean, how can we play defense around this? I assume we're going to get a side swap coming in. You know, can BLG take something that's a little bit safer for Knight? Do you look at a first pick Talia, first pick Azir maybe, that has been denied so far in this series? We expect to remain banned on red side, but hey, if Knight gets his hands on any of those, that could be a good start for BLG on the blue side. So, yeah, I just think that, you know, having more of a state of mind of, hey, there is a real direction from our opponents to try and attack mid. What can we do around that? Whether that's taking priority bots that On can walk and hover more, whether it's Beishuan getting a jungler that can interact with mid a little bit more, can threaten there. But we'll see. But that has definitely been one of the common factors between the first 2 games. Definitely a real focus on getting Cream ahead with gank assist mid laners. Annie and Ryze, 2 of the best in the business of that. Going to be both off the board for this one, but we'll see what ends up happening moving forward.
Okay, man, we're getting later into the series. Any fearless picks you got your eyes on here as we try to wind down and get into the home stretch?
I think we are definitely now starting to get into the area where I could see Kiana or Zed or some more aggressive picks start to come out in the jungle if they did want to go in that direction. The big thing for me in draft right now, I completely agree you want to get Knight off of comfort, but you have to keep Kanavi on these champions that can actively be proactive. If you're putting him on something that's going to be more of a team player, I think that takes away so many advantages for top esports. So far, so good when it comes to champions that have agency. Got to keep it up for them here on red side.
Real quick, Xin Zhao Skarner Circle, definitely one that I'm looking at. I think that the Sivir was a big deny pick over from Jakulov. Definitely want to resonate what Elk was saying at the end of that game. We talked about on the desk how top esports, they played 4 out of their 5 most played champions in their roles in game 1. Similar thing happened for BLG. They played a couple champs that have been most played for them in this one, like looking at Bin Renekton, looking at Knight Aurora, and they lost. So it feels like both teams definitely have a game where a lot of the champs they prioritize are off the board. If I am top esports, I'm expecting to see BLG on the blue side. I would really think about Zaya Rakan, having that be B2, B3 to BLG. Will default to that later on in the series, and they will lock that in the first round. So if I'm top esports going to the next one, I'd be very aware of that and see if I can play any defense around it. Besides that, H1's played a lot of unique champs. So I think the only one that he has multiples of is Nocturne. Xin, Nocturne, Vi. I expect that triangle to be big.
That's the thing about Fearless. You know, different game every time. These guys are going to have to be a little bit out of their comfort zones going into the final 2, maybe 3 games of this upper bracket final. Draft about ready for game number 3. Sending it on over to Slayer and Auk for the call.
Thank you, Kindly Grapes, for the toss once again. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your caster desk with myself, Slayer, and Auk Battery, getting you set for game number 3. And Dimitri, you know, we heard a lot of the desk talk about towards the end of there, the champion picks, but I really want to focus on what you see being such a priority for BLG getting their first blue side game here that you saw. You heard Cubby talk a little bit about with Knight specifically in his champion pool.
Yeah, we're in game 3, so at the very least we're going to get one more game out of this series. And we've seen now top esports both sides on blue side going for mid and then jungle. For BLG, are we going to try to secure Knight an instant first pick in mid lane? We saw him get counter pick all the way back in game number 1. Didn't work out too well with that Orianna. Now we're finally getting a shift in the bans. Previously, it was Yunara, Rumble, and Kiana for BLG when they were on the red side. Does that say the same? And now a Yone coming on through for BLG. So maybe one of those other mages, something like an Ahri, maybe we even get stuff like the Talia that becomes a little bit more impactful here.
Cream getting respect nonetheless for his melee champions. And wow, they are really just trying to keep Cream uncomfortable. Does this warp TES's draft game plan? Are they willing to kind of sacrifice one of those bans we've seen from red sides constantly to take away that Talia Auk was talking about? It's definitely a tough spot to be in because BLG are signaling that they are committing to getting Knight this B1 pick to put him in another comfortable position because He has been anything but comfortable across these 2 games, and that is a warning sign, but the Rumble gets through, and Ben is going to land on his power pick.
I think this is an important test. We've talked about it all during playoffs here, is Rumble nerfs on this patch. Now with Orin still in the draft, I imagine that is something that Top Esports will be looking towards on 3. Otherwise, you threaten it potentially being banned. And as Cubby said, Top Esports, they break up Zyra Rakan, the most played from Elkanon, no longer available, and giving Jackie Love, I think, some tools to have a little bit more agency in this game. As we've seen, that's been very important here already 2 games deep.
Continuing to tie these 2 bottom lanes together as this draft continues to
Voltei.
evolve.
Mano, a
more and
Bilibili
more.
perdeu, entregou,
Nala's
sei lá
being
como.
locked in. That is a very pivotal champion. We talked about for
Tem
both
no draft
Tong
certinho.
and On, and they're going to lock it in with Knight on this, or not Knight, Elk locking in this Varus, and Knight locking it in. But now these are 2 champions the BLG are kind of hanging their coattails on, that have been kind of nerfed and have fallen a bit more in priority in the meta. You talk about the Rumble. Varus is also in a very interesting spot when you talk about lethality versus on-hit.
Varus has completely, I think, not only fallen off in priority as he's no longer a champion that gets pick banned, but also I think we've seen the efficacy of this champion really fall short. So BLG already approaching this team with a poke composition. You're going to have massive range with the ultimates coming out from the Rumble, and then also Nautilus giving you that pick nature with his ultimate as well as that hook. So let's see as we get into second phase of bans. No mid laner chosen for either team, and it'll be Top Esports having first pick coming out of this side of the draft. So imagine we're going to be seeing jungle here on 4, and then give over counter picks so that Knight has to be able to blind his matchup, and more of those mid bans. Akali taken away from Cream. What if there's a
Eu tenho que criar conta lá na Ruia pra poder pegar a qualidade boa e tal, mano. Não consegui fazer isso a última vez. Tem problema no meu chat.
There's also the added fact that you heard K-Man talk about Kanavi getting on junglers that can be very proactive early, get leads early. Do BLG maybe want to spend one of their bans towards a champion like that? You heard Cubby mention the Xin Zhao. If you don't think you're going to be able to get it like you're talking about with R4 coming likely for the jungle, is that a priority with your ban? Maybe also these carry junglers that we've seen really explode in the playoffs, and the Fury ban from Top Esports kind of signaling towards that. There is a lot of statements that can be made by just one final ban here for BLG. Gotta wonder what they're thinking.
Could be Silas.
A gente não tá fora do Words não, Danny. Só vi agora essa mensagem.
Not, maybe we're looking towards... There's not a lot of mids left, so you just go for jungle. Yeah, the Xin Zhao that we've been talking about from the desk does get taken away, and there is that Silas. So not only are you preventing Knight from having access to this with the quickness, with the Ornn ultimate as well, also giving Cream one of his most iconic champions of his career. So now up to Knight. Are we going to take the Ahri matchup, or are we going to go for something maybe a little bit different here? And this is a champion that we did see get picked for Beichuan in the jungle here. Now, Black Shield only works onto one member, so you're only stopping a single person from being getting knocked up, from getting engaged upon, and it all depends on who is really going to be the front line for BLG.
What is it going to look like here? Do we see Knight tap into that Tristana that we heard a lot of talk about earlier on in this series? Go double marksman, a blast from the past of the meta, if you will.
Meu Deus, mano.
Knight's going to lock it in. He's going to look to try and just slam Cream out of lane here with this pick.
Tristana's going to give him a lot of access in the mid lane. Could this be Silas jungle here for Kanavi? Kanavi has been a big carry player. We didn't even think about this being a flex. We were so focused on Cream. This could be the counter here, and remember, Cream is the melee specialist.
Pô, Yasuo contra Double AD Carry.
For Cream.
Yasuo é legal aqui, não?
Let's get some knockups. Let's try to see the early laning phase.
Acho que Yasuo é muito bom aqui, mano.
Can BLG beat Top Esports in what I feel is the most TES draft we have seen so far in the playoffs?
They've pulled off a heist here, Ulk. They've led BLG astray, and they have caught Knight sleeping, expecting this Silas matchup.
Esse Morgana é tão legal aqui não, mano.
Cream to lean into his melee maestro self with this Yasuo. What a draft, but I do want to ask you, one specifying question before this game goes live, Ulk. You talked about where Varus is as a champion right now. Seeing this draft from TES, what is your comfort meter on
Porque eles ganham duas lanes aqui, né, mano? Eles ganham top e...
lethality having
no.
Eles
nearly
ganham
enough
top
value.
e mid, né?
I'm sorry,
Ah,
it has to be lethality this game. I don't think you get
Oh,
any
okay.
space in
Um
this
top
game to
bot.
actually auto. Okay, let's
Right, yeah.
take it from our perspective here. As two AD carry players here on the
Sure,
the cast, how are you ever auto attacking versus a Varus, a Silas, and a Rakan that can connect with both of them?
E vários,
Not
mano. Meu
including
Deus do céu, o cara
auto
falando as
attacks. I
copiadas.
think you have to maximize the range. You have to be able to play poke here. And for BLG, this has to come down to Knight, and this, I think, is going to be an incredibly pivotal point of the series. Knight has been getting absolutely gapped by his mid lane counterpart. 2 games now with inclusion of the jungle. You have this Tristana. Can we see him pop off?
We have to see, and it's such a interesting point on Knight as well when we tap into the history as we
É que é
look
TES.
to have run into some small technical issue getting into game 3. 'Cause
Looks
all-
like there was a, from what it seemed like, we didn't get the swap between Cream and Hung for whatever
did see
reason.
that.
So whether
Could
or
be a
not that
redraft.
Yasuo is maybe, could be a remake. We could see Hung, we might see it not eventually be Yasuo. So for
Oh,
now,
please don't.
let's,
Break my heart.
I know. Let's take it from a perspective of, we got all the way up to 5th pick. Right before the Yasuo. Let's just pretend Yasuo doesn't exist. I'm sorry, everybody at home. We got excited.
Yeah, so, well, before we approach it from there, this does give us time to talk about something that I thought was very fascinating that you mentioned when tapping into the history. Again, a big history buff guy that I am, and picking your brain about this stuff is always such a fun thing. You use the word the prince of top esports, and at first, a lot of people would come to their mind, oh, that has to be Jackie Love, right? I mean, think about what he's been for this team, but not, a good amount of time ago, but not too far long ago, there was actually a different name that was being talked about as the prince of top esports, not TES.
Yeah, it was Knight. I think a lot of internationals very early on into his career, a lot of people were looking at, can we see Knight at Worlds? Can we see Knight at an MSI with top esports? And that was 2019 to 2022. Jackie Love joins the roster during COVID in 2020, and eventually is now
É
a
mais divertido assim, ah, mano.
standing member on the
Nessa não,
roster
acho
at 5 years
merda,
in
né?
total. But Knight was, I think, supposed to be the kind of next up and coming. Obviously played with Jackie Love for a few years there as well. If this was going to be a 1-2 combo, these two in an alternate reality are running this league as the best mid laner and potentially the best AD carry of the league. Diverted paths, JDG ends up becoming Knight's home for at least a year or two. Jackie Love continues to stay on this roster, and loyalty towards the program. But it's an important story here for all of the things we've seen from Top Esports. I mean, you go all the way back to split number 1, where we see Top Esports absolutely dismantle BLG, and BLG were obviously a lot weaker going into February, March, but now
Yasuo é muito bom contra The Carry, mano. Contra Tristana.
health issues, Knight's continued dominance here in the LPL of who originally and who is going to continue to stand to be kind of that crown prince of either a bygone era or a continuing legacy here on this organization.
And that's what makes this game 3, honing back in on where we are now, so integral, knowing that Knight has been lackluster through 2 games. Jackie Love, it definitely doesn't escape criticism for game 1, but I don't care what the player of the game stuff was we saw and what our analyst has said about it. Jackie Love robbed of his player of the game in game 2, so I'm giving it to him. Now we got to see if Knight can step up, reclaim this sort of, like you talk about, past mantle that was given to him. Let's focus back towards the draft, knowing everything you talked about, though, Alk. If this isn't the Yasuo and my heart is broken, do you still, I feel like it's still a Kanavi Silas angle, just maybe a different champion for Cream?
Yeah.
Is that a good line of thinking? And then what would be the champion for Cream if it's not Yasuo?
I don't know. It seems like they want to cook because they were hovering between Yasuo and Aurelia. So hopefully we have a little bit more. Actually, if producer Rare Adam, if we could just go straight back to the live view, even if
É o
we're not
Yasuo, mano.
playing
Yasuo é bom
draft,
contra Tristana,
I
velho.
want to see what the players and kind of, I know, show some of the signs that are on the screen over in Shenzhen. But I am kind of expecting for Cream to pick something a little spicy. And even if we take a look at their draft, sans this Yasuo pick, I still think that there's a lot riding here for BLG on a composition that doesn't have as clean of timers to play, right? We're looking at this from BLG's perspective. Rumble, Morgana jungle, Tristana mid, Varus, Nautilus. That's a pan that tells me we are heading right back into draft. So the things that we can kind of take apart here for BLG is, can they hold on to? There we go. We are getting Yasuo here.
Yes!
All right,
let's go.
Let's see it. Yasuo has been played a few times this year in the LPL, but Cream, it's been a while.
Hey, all I'm saying here, guys, is one of the last times I remember seeing a Yasuo is the funniest time to ever bring them up. Satab, Thundertalk, Satab, Yasuo. That was one of the last few times I saw them. Remember, that Thundertalk team actually beat BLG in a best of 5. It's so funny to reminisce back on there. But let's give the stage to the Jayos. Fans are getting loud.
Vambora. Galera, quem puder colar aí na Kiki.
In the center stage you saw of that fan cam. Top esports who feel like they have regained momentum and maybe give themselves a bit of a draft gap here. They definitely win the Spicy Award with Cream.
F5 aí, Ergueste atrasado.
You know, a lot of Yasuos in the LPL this year.
Into range matchups, theoretically it should be a little bit harder, but I assume that Cream is going to be abusing Bone Plating and Revitalize here in this matchup. So we'll be, or Second Wind. Yep, there we go, we can see it. Actually, it even has Shield Bash here, so doesn't have Bone Plating. Very interesting tech going into this melee matchup. The Flow Shield is going to help him deal a little bit more damage, and up against range champions, Yasuo can be
like na live, boa, dá like aí quem tá vendo pelo YouTube também. Tá arrumando Yasuo? Tá de boa.
4 years ago, LPL Summer 2021, up against Angel. So it's been a while for these two, and we'll see what these two teams can accomplish here. It is going to be mirrored starts here for both of our junglers as they both go down towards the bottom lane.
Dredgeline going to land here for On, and with that passive rune choice coming through for Elk, he's able to get down a couple of big autos. He's going to pop the ghost. There you see the rune come through and get some good damage traded back. You talked a little bit about the junglers here, Alk, and I do want to focus back in on them. As always, you have to with TES early game in Kanavi, but this is the first game where we're not necessarily getting the Kanavi champion pool you heard K-Man talk about. Early action, effective facilitating junglers. With this Silas locked in for him, this feels a lot more carry-oriented than we've seen so far.
That's Kanavi, baby. That is Kanavi. Just remember all of the games in the regular season where we saw Kanavi play
em cima desse aço.
Try to run through
Tem nada.
So very,
Posso descer.
I feel like
Aqui da Morgana.
that we have seen from this player for multiple years now, especially
do Nautilus.
25. So Kanavi will have a very important job once he hits level 6 about which ultimates he has access to. The Buster Shot means that he has a
A gente também tem ult do Nautilus.
The Rumble ultimate can be incredibly impactful.
E o tanto CC que a testa tem, mano. Ult do Ornn, Rakan, Silas, Yasuo, Zaya.
How effective he can be into a rather low range
Ferramentas.
composition, and more importantly around his black shield. I think binding is not going to get too much usefulness when you have both an Ornn and a wind wall.
It's about protecting your marksman in this game for Beitron as well, as he's trying to show his champion proficiency that you heard the devs talk about. Already starting off well with these dark bindings nonetheless. Just letting Kanavi know, hey man, I'm here. You can't escape me or these dark bindings, and that is going to continue to happen in this series. As we see on
is already showing mid.
Yep.
Jogo não é bem pra Zaya, não. Tá ótimo pra Zaya o jogo aqui. Não gosto muito de Zaya vs Rumble, mas seja.
I'm walking mid. He does have priority. This is part of why this Varus, at least before the first back, is going to be a lot stronger than JackeyLove. JackeyLove already
Tem que usar o wall na hora certa, Yas.
bought a long sword, but good use of priority here from BLG. He's going to push
O
back.
Cream é bem melee player, né? É bom com vários campeões assim.
The damage you can make stick onto JackeyLove is going to feel very, very nice.
It's cool to see that sort of
Silas fica forte, é o melhor player da liga.
choice as we talk more and more about Varus in a weaker state. The Hail of Blades instead of the classic Comet that you see come across. Just trying to get down those blight stacks as quickly
Riot
as
did their job.
possible.
I'm so proud of them. They nerfed Rumble right before Worlds. They nerfed Varus as well, who's been a menace. I'm happy. I'm getting happy. We have Kiana in the jungle.
Beitron. Ooh, you lose your Grump as well. That Dark Binding may be the thing that saves Beitron. He's going to pop the Black Shield.
Pode continuar, Kanavi. Pode continuar.
You feel like he has the lethal blow to deal. Nope, no
Bota medo
spells
nele.
in cycle, but still a moral and gold victory, and now Beichuan is expecting Kanavi to run away. He actually flashes back over him. Misconduct ducked, and Kanavi just gapping
Nigga wanna
Beichuan.
see me fall. Stephen Curry, how I ball. Gosha garments and a white 3 on my body. I'm an icon, man. Damn, a girl about a 10. I should fuck her in the Benz.
Beichuan loses his flash. I think a little bit more
Ai, ai, ai.
has that spell, but a really
Calma,
There's no
Kanavi.
way for BLG solo laners to move forward. Cream was attacking Knight in the mid lane. Ben was fighting 369 over the minion wave. So a fully clear, very clean 1v1 between our two junglers, and showing up that Kanavi, he wants to show that experience, show that carry potential that we've seen from them all season long.
And it's such a right time, knowing the jungle meta has shifted in favor of so many of those carries. We're going to look back at Kanavi, well, finding Beichuan, and then Beichuan
Só
just
esperou acabar o então.
disrespecting Kanavi towards the end of this.
Black Shield's too late. Kanavi has 3 seconds. This is when his Abscond of Duck comes back. Beichuan spending too much time, and while he almost lands this binding, Beichuan thinks that he is safe. Really long cooldowns on Morgana early
Nigga
on.
wanna see me fall.
Your spells. So, Tormented Soil, not enough to do. We get back to live. We got 2 supports in mid lane. Hey, who could have seen this coming?
I just love that Knight is getting ultimate protection finally in game 3 mid lane, and of course it's the game he picks an AD carry champion. It's kind of like, it's just like comfort for On. It's like, all right, man, listen, maybe you're not used to protecting control
Agora.
games in the 2v2. Okay, hold on.
Peguei. Ai, Kanavi errou.
TS in the
Kanavi
jungle
errou,
to catch him
mano.
on the blast cone. That is a big point
Kanavi
to
errou,
return
mano.
to if you're Kanavi. Ghost and Flash off of Elk for the next couple of minutes.
And look at that bottom lane wave. Elk doesn't know, because he has no vision here. I love this. You can see the pings coming on out. He can't walk back up into this wave until On escorts him in. He's going to catch this wave. He is still staying. He is playing so much respect. No vision from top or from BLG. As soon as this dragon goes into the announcement, imagine he'll pick that up. But that was a lot of golden experience that Elk lost, not including the summoner spells there as well. Very, very aggressive job here from TES. Opens up a pretty nice lead for them.
Hoje em dia não, eu tô ficando mais aqui, ô C2. Tô fazendo mais minha live mesmo. Posso colar lá, só que tipo assim, prefiro ficar mais aqui que eu posso fazer minha live do jeito que eu quiser, tá ligado? Botar meus áudios aqui, brincar, assistir, fazer meus reacts no intervalo. Posso fazer uma parada que é mais minha cara aqui.
A ticking time bomb. The new BLG form we saw in this series so far through 2 games isn't really going to work for them this time. They're back on those champions that they used to be playmaking and aggressive early. You heard I'll talk about last game. Champions that Knight used to get that 1,300 gold lead out of lane. So the fact that they're able to kind of go toe-to-toe right now, find these leads for Kanavi, and improve them into dragons, into more minions for Jackie Love, they can be a lot more comfortable compared to the last 2 games where we asked a lot of them in this phase.
Very important here that BLG get a majority of
Eu fiz uma live com o Jukes lá dia, foi engraçado, mano.
Very, very difficult for top esports to deal with. That is those 2 grubs going over. Very fine trade here. As this game goes on, I think the one X factor always have to be looking towards is Tristana. The ability to buffer so many different spells, her safety, the amount of range that she has, and the damage potential with an explosive bomb. Always something you have to keep in the back of our minds here. Cream is just slick with the Yasuo here. Has to be a little bit careful, but with a bunch of shields should be fine.
Kanavi has a stolen Buster shot and gets the 2-man knockup. See you later, Knight. Kanavi still giving nightmares to the golden left hand.
That is what we wanted to see. That was exactly the combo
Isso foi
we talked about in
2v3,
the
né?
draft. Buster shot from Silas, knock-up for the Yasuo, a clean 2v2 here, coming through for Kanavi and Cream. And look at how this combo is playing. Cream, a player who has been dogged on all year long, for if he is going to have any success on this roster, he has to improve. And now Kanavi, I feel like, bringing him into the fold, really giving him the tools to win this matchup against one of the best mid laners the LPL has seen. This is exactly the top esports we want to see contest in BLG.
Seems like they've finally figured out and started clicking.
Toma.
Like you talked about, how best to support what our desk kind of called is the weakest link in Cream. We'll get the most surefire player on your team, Kanavi, constantly playing the two-man game with him. And, you know, you could say game one fell out of favor, but if we're talking about the effectiveness of Kanavi and Cream, across all 3 games of this series, they've been having success, and in this game, it's filthy combos like this.
The exhaust goes on to Kanavi, but that's just
Yes,
the
sir.
wrong target. Should be on to Yasuo. By this point, the play's already over. Elk
And Elk is dead. All right.
Na festa do Carlinhos Maia, só lá bubu. Ela chega com Bob Goods, morango do amor, morango do amor, morango do amor. De pistache amor, morango. Na festa do Carlinhos Maia. Na festa do Carlinhos Maia.
Caramba, que outdraft, hein? Que outdraft bizarro. Essa foi no draft. Falamos no draft. Os caras não conseguem respirar no mapa, Truzinho. Olha só, olha só, olha só. Toma, 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 toma. É gap em todas as lanes. É gap em todos os lugares. É, tá tendo muita virada, né?
We have a dragon spawning in 50, and we have not been able to get BLG really utilizing any of these grabs. They have a single turret plate, and it is in mid lane. That is a win here for Top Esports.
And the gold leads across the board for TES, starting to manifest in some pretty powerful items as Elk gets caught. Flash forward, uses the hijack Morgana ult, doesn't get the snare. Elk barely.
Olha o body language do Kanavi, moleque. Kanavi tá soltinho no pagode, moleque.
BLG, with a composition that is supposed to outrange their opponents, have better consistent DPS throughout fights, and especially in lane, are at 12 minutes, down about 1,000 gold, and the turret plates, after Knight gets this one, is going to be 3 to 4 versus their opponent. Like, or 3
Caso
to 3
parece
now.
picket muito target no Knight.
On to Knight.
Cara, o Yasuo é bom contra a The Carry, né? Toma, 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 toma,
Na
toma!
festa do Carlinhos Maia, só lá bubu. Ela chega com Bob Goods, morango do amor, morango do amor, morango do amor.
Toma. Meu Deus, mataram meu Yasuo.
Clean response there from the rest of Billy Gaming.
Don't know if Cream had the win wall, but either way, it's going to turn into Bin getting some gold.
Kanavi não tá por hoje, que é isso?
BLG lose out on Knight on the bottom side. Plates here for 369. He'll get some gold as well. Dragon goes over to Top Esports, feeling good about their spot in this game. Decent trade. Oh, we're doing an overload. I mean, yeah, we have 2 grubs. Let's try to get as much gold as possible. Plates fall in a minute, and it's only Hog.
Opa, TPzinho, TPzinho, TPzinho.
So I like this
TPzinho, TPzinho. 2 TPs ou um só? TP do Orne.
2 TPs, 369, and Cream arriving. They're looking for the knockups. They're not going to land it onto Bin, and now kind of got to bide their time here. BLG has shown up with 4. Double TP, not really getting a lot for Top Esports. Are they getting antsy, knowing they weren't able to make much out of those TPs? Not for now. All they're eating is Dark Bindings. Dredgeline lands on top of 369 as well. Hong trying to kite back safe, but Elk's able to get the Chains of Corruption down. Good unstoppable to interrupt them, but Jackalo's going to turn his head towards Elk.
Kanavi tá chegando, Kanavi tá chegando.
Kanavi going on top of 3.
Meu Deus do céu.
Ó
o Kanavi, o Kanavi, o Kanavi.
Nigga wanna see me fall. Stephen Curry, how I ball. Gosha garments and a white 3 on my body. I'm an icon, man. And my girl about a 10. I should fuck her in the Benz. Niggas say they run my
Calma, TES, calma. Calma, TES. Eles têm família! Eles têm família, TES, calma! 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 Kanavi, eles têm família, Kanavi! Em frente às câmeras assim não, calma! Calma!
On these mid and top tier turrets here for Top Esports. Those teleports set themselves up. They get their resets, spend some of their gold. We have 40 seconds.
Toma dano, não acontece nada.
Top side, and I don't think BLG can contest. This starts off with an engage, maybe on to Hong, but it just takes way too long. BLG are not only behind, but they don't have enough damage. This Ornn is incredibly tanky, and the collapse from Top Esports. This is the best play of all. It is just Kanavi 1v3, and if they can't kill him here, then Slayer, I think we're waiting another 8 minutes before they can even kill Kanavi.
This is just
Aí, quem cortar o clipe aqui postando
flow
clipe.
state right now. Kanavi making all the right moves, and he's not done. He's got a depth charge hijack. He's going to drop it on top of Knight as he eliminates his support. Double knockups land on a Knight. Hong makes it a triple. They're just throwing Knight into the air, bouncing
Na
him
festa
around.
do Carlinhos Maia, só lá bubu.
TPs himself into the meat grinder, instantly gets popped. Beitwan having to flash away from Kanavi and Hong again. This is TES in their prime, showing why they were the top seed out of Group Ascend, threatening to go back to a second LPL final.
Calma,
TES didn't
Kanavi.
even teleport Cream over there. He couldn't move for that fight. That should have been an advantage.
Essa foi muito boa, mano.
Another team fight victory. Round the bottom side of the map. Now even the Herald going over. Top Esports are transitioning early game leads into mid-game advantages. I don't think we're allowed to fight this BLG. We are posturing and they can still engage.
Oh no.
Opa, Kanavi.
Breath Hong is able to land it. Good equalizer as well to separate. Hong going to re-engage with the depth charge. Blast going to get bin 40. He's looking for the overheat. Pumping the damage on the flame spitter. And now CS on the back foot. Good knockup from the Dado on Cream. Hijack. Equalizer going to come.
A graça do menino. A galera gosta de ver isso.
Knocks them down again.
Meu Deus, meu Deus.
Moving faster.
Meu Deus. Vai lá,
And
Kanavi.
there's nothing BLG can do to stop him.
The only reason this play went on as long as it did is because Kanavi got hit with a binding. This fight
Damn.
5 minutes earlier with BLG losing even more. We are 16 and a half minutes. This is our number 1 and number 3 seeds fighting, and Top Esports are 12-1 and 8,000 gold ahead of their opponents with a dragon advantage. We have another one spawning in 55 seconds.
Calma,
We
Kanavi.
get back into these fights. There's no sums now here for Top Esports, but I think the gold advantage that they have, the almost 4,000 gold lead that Kanavi has over Beitwan is excruciating.
A família não tem assento.
We just got to take stock of where we were in this series to now, right? Because I know we didn't share all of it. We let our desks share a lot of our sentiments after game 1.
8k de gold aos 16 minutos. Isto é outdraft.
Oh, crud. If Top Esports, they lose a game like that, how much confidence do you have them in game 2? And if they lose game 2, does this series feel over? Oh, how much of a 180 have you done? And answer it after we watch another Kanavi masterclass.
Just like this play goes a little too long, and if BLG were slightly, but wait, picture.
Hold on.
Meu Deus, meu Deus, meu Deus.
Hijacked ultimate from guess who? Kanavi.
Meu Deus, toma. O Yasuo chegou. Moleque, qualquer coisa que acontece, o Yasuo pode ultar, mano. O Yasuo, ele consegue ultar. Ia ser muito fácil habilitar o Yasuo, mano. Tem knock-up tem 2 knock-up do Warning, tem knock-up do Yasuo, tem knock-up do Sylas, tem knock-up do Rakan, tem knock-up do Sylas com o ult do Nautilus, tem knock-up do Sylas com o ult da Tristana. Doideira.
I want to see if he respawns in 30 seconds. Does he still have a shutdown bounty? Because that would be impressive. Dragon is up on the table, but Top Esports cannot do anything. BLG cannot answer
8 mil
right
de
now.
gold.
That was them
Quase 9
overextending
mil
just
de
a little
gold
bit too far,
praticamente
but
já,
the
né?
gold lead is still in their favor. They are still clapping. BLG.
Não, 8 mil
I think
ainda
are
mais ou menos
tripping
ali.
over
8 mil aos
themselves, trying to
18
run
minutos,
through these
16 minutos, que é
objectives,
isso?
trying to see if they can make some play happen, some kill go their way, get a shutdown
damage,
here or
Knight.
there.
Cute damage,
Knight
bro.
is just tickling him, and all
Knight
that
não tem dano
369
nenhum,
has
mano.
is an Aegis of the Legion and a ton of HP. He has no armor right now. We get back into this replay. What is Beitwan supposed
Calma,
to do
Tristana, tá causando muito dano aí.
right? And this
Olha lá,
is a very
vocês
good
notaram
engage
que
here from Kanavi.
o
He
Spell
gets
Shield não
access to the
funciona, porque o
ultimate.
Sylas dá muito dano mágico.
The same
Ele
things we
come
were
o
just
Spell
talking
Shield
about this
insta.
player. No damage
Vocês
available
viram?
for BLG.
O
And
dano
almost
do
like
E do Sylas é tão grande que ele destrói o Spell Shield e
one.
dá o CC, foda-se.
And of course, Kanavi does finally get shut down here, but this is what we like to call in the business, folks, is limit testing when you're this far ahead.
Yep.
Kanavi can afford to do so.
He's very, very fed. Can't wait to see where we're at as we come out of replay. TES did grab themselves a Dragon Sweat. 20
Ah, tem
minutes.
pouco, né? Porque é
They're
dano
so
mágico
quick.
bruto, né?
They have a 9,000
Sylas dá muito dano, mano.
gold lead.
Em um alvo, né?
This is
Assim.
the most dominant we have seen Top Esports in this series. By
Não, com
far.
certeza. Tipo assim,
This is an incredible game coming in from the mid jungle, specifically from
Fosse brand jungle, Zyra, concordo. Qualquer brand jungle, Zyra, etc. Qualquer AP ia comer o shield, né? O Morgana. Forte desse jeito, né? Sim, concordo, Rafael. Opa, toma. Vai.
Na festa do Carlinhos Maia, só lá bubu. Ela chega com Bob Goods, morango do amor, morango do amor, morango do amor. De pistache amor, morango. Na festa do Carlinhos
Maia.
13-1. Baytron, this is supposed to be your little pocket pick that you pulled on through. The AI from JDG thinks it's an 81%. Hey, I'll give you an extra 9 right there for talking about Knight. This is a 90% win percentile coming on through for top.
21 vezes 7 as flores. Olha agora então. Toma. Pega todas as flores. Todas as flores do mapa. Vem. 25.
Please buy the Magi's. Knight is known for it, but now you gotta make him know who's the real big bad in this game. Knockups galore. It is just a rough shot that Top Esports are running over BLG. We keep seeing Top Esports in these replays. There's nothing more for me to explain in them other than the fact that
Gold nem abre mais, guys. Não tem como abrir mais Gold, mano.
We gotta get out of this game quickly.
Not before Kanavi fills his book full of pages. Is at this point what I'm looking for. We've gone to it. Yeah, thank you. That's an elite highlight there coming out from you all. Here's the fun part we've gotten to here. This is, you know, blowout games can not be the most fun because they're so one-sided. But we get to play this fun game I like to call, can he one-shot? That's where we're at with Kanavi right now and how ahead he is. Let's see. How many people can this guy one-shot? Because he's face-checking 3 people, and Baytron, he doesn't think, oh, I see the gauge. He's like, oh god, the devil is running at me faster than the speed of light, and somehow he gets onto Elk, goes to Redemption, the only reason to save him. Kanavi is ignoring all structures, all enemies, all he sees is red, all he sees is series points for Top Esports.
Toma. Hololive Kanavi 2006.
Damn near soon, as they knock
Ele é muito China, ele é muito LPL Kanavi, mano.
Cream, though, has to throw up the wind wall as Knight and Ben are trying to push some damage back out.
Calma, Knight. Tá dando dano demais. Fiquei assustado aí, calma. Calma aí, Knight. Calma aí, Knight. Meu Deus, quanto dano. Que porra foi essa? Tristana deu 8 ataques do Yasuo. Descendo o HP dele. Ai, toma o ult do Varus aí. Toma. Espera pra quem tá dormindo acordar, hein? Ó, tô ficando sem voz de novo.
22 stacks here. We're gonna probably see a fully stacked Magi's here for Kanavi. Our producer Rare Adam did throw a lower third earlier. 9-3 is what Kanavi is all time. Guess what? Let's pull up a 10-3 real quickly here in this game.
Jogão da TES, Outdraft, Big Outdraft. Aquele Billy não tinha facilidade de First Pick Silas. First Pick Silas não é tão bom assim, mano. Game 3, tá ligado? Não é, pô, não é CBLOL não, mano. Blind um Silas aí, toma uma sei lá, uma Kali da vida, alguma coisa ali. Os caras fazem uma comp com Darius ainda, sei lá. Os caras fazem umas paradas meio assim, que de xereca. Não tem tanto valor ainda do Silas assim no início do draft, tá ligado?
And it's been such a strategic approach to making that happen for Top Esports. We talked about it in games 1 and 2. What was
it, right?
Constantly camping out on the mid lane, not just protecting Cream, but finding these unique gank angles.
Sim, a Tristana mid já é paia pro Silas, mas aí eles responderam bem de trocar a Tristana pelo Yasuo, foi big outdraft, mano. Eu tava jogando muito de Yasuo de Silas Jungle também, é divertido. Só que eu tava jogando de Silas Jungle AD, ô Brandok. Fazia céu dividido e Shojin. Muito foda esse céu dividido e Shojin. Muito da hora. A passiva dele escala com AD Você dá muito dano na passiva. Você crita com céu dividido, é muito foda. Você fica com cooldown cheatado por causa do Shojin. Shojin é um item muito quebrado no Sylas. Funciona. Isso sempre funcionou. É porque teve uma época que tava bugado, mas assim, mesmo antes de estar bugado, já funcionava essa build. Tá ligado? Já rolava essa build. Ainda funciona. Você dá dano mágico do mesmo jeito. Você cura muito também com essa build.
And Tarzan. And what did we get from Tarzan last night? He got the living hell out of Wei. If this is the form we're going to get from these two junglers, I need an AL Top Esports Grand Finals like I need air.
Meu Deus, o Canavi tá com 22 stacks na Mejai, moleque. Boa, Carol, tamo junto.
LPL finals in a split. So you know that Top Esports and AL already went toe-to-toe in those split 1 playoffs. Adds even more fire to the field.
Essa foi Big Out Draft mesmo, mano. Chat GPT, qual é minha benção?
House cleaning measures towards the top side river, known as a little thing you like to call the Baron buff that was all but guaranteed to them by the mighty gold lead they're holding. And well, BLG, what can they do? Watch all of their structures fall? Well, they might just watch this game fall. Here's the waves brought up towards the Nexus turrets, and we just have to keep our eyes on the man, the myth, the legend, Kanavi. And Witty decides to go in.
Shadow vai entrar agora, Shadow vai entrar. Shadow vai entrar. É ele.
Cara, o Shadow. Shadow é esse cara aí. O Shadow, cara, o Shadow, vai. O Shadow, cara, o Shadow, vai. O Shadow.
From a second grand finals.
Bota o Shadow, traz o Shadow, chama.
5-3. I have doubted that we have seen a bigger difference between our two teams here tonight. An incredible performance from Kanavi, one that was completely predicated on the draft, swapping the Sylas over, getting this Yasuo mid for Cream, and Knight yet again having to answer
huge
questions about his performance here. He's been bulletproof all playoffs, all regular season long, earning our MVP here from LPL English. But it might come crumbling against the unexpected mid of Top Esports.
And the split 1 MVP from Top Esports, showing why he's still got it after all those months away. We were due, it felt like we were due for one of those one-sided games, but one-sided might be selling it short. That was a floundering performance from BLG that we're going to have the desk breakdown. Grapes on the desk. One might call that BLG Game 3 more disappointing than the Brooklyn Nets in 2025. What do you have to say about that?
That's not good. That's
what the hell,
that's
man?
Not good. That's not good. That's not good.
We didn't even. The season hasn't even started yet, and we're already flaming. All right. You know what? Our 5 first-round picks are gonna do us wonders in the season, just like how BLG had some wonders handed to them by Top Esports in that 3rd game. Grapes, Cubby, and K-Man with you guys here on.
Dia do Mundial 2000 ano passado.
원하는 순서로 챔프 3개씩 이렇게 순서로 갈게요. Okay, who wants to go first? 누구 먼저? Faker go first. Okay, Faker has Ari, Sylas, Galio, Yone.
Ah, é dos campeões. Vamos ver isso aqui? Rapaziada, tem um som desse vídeo aqui, parece que é sobre eles decidindo os campeões, né, que eles vão jogar, que eles vão escolher as skins e tal, tá ligado? Vou ter que colocar uma legenda traduzida automaticamente aqui para português. Caramba, Londres. Eu tava lá. Quem tava lá? Talvez tentar uma vibe europeia. Seria uma vibe europeia. Galho, vários pikes, esse tipo de escalação. Ele está falando do galho. Tem que ser galho, Faker. O Faker não escolheu o galho, guys. 8,45. 3 campeões, cada um na ordem que quiser.
Okay, who wants to go first? 누구 먼저?
Quem é o primeiro? Olha o Faker. Faker, meu Deus.
Faker go first. Okay, Faker has Ari, Silas, Galio, Yone, Nico, Akali.
Next, Zeus.
Gragas, Jax, Nar,
Rumble, Camille,
Maokai.
Maokai, Orne. Maokai, ele pensando Maokai.
진, 브라우스, 자야.
Moleque, o Guma é decidido, né, mano? O Guma é muito decidido, mano. Jin, Varus. Pô, como é que Varus não foi o primeiro, mano? Qual que foi a dele dessa vez agora? Do primeiro ano, a skin dele foi qual, hein? Nem lembro, mano. Skins T1 2023. Ó, mais esportes no topo aí das pesquisas. Foi Jinx. É esperto, Jinx, né, mano? Agora foi Varus. Nock vai. Pô, tinha que ser o Shin do... Ei, minha webcam tá na frente do Warner aqui. My bad, guys. Tinha que ser o Shin dele. Cara, o Keria, o Keria precisava de um consultor financeiro, mano. Renata Glass, que ninguém joga essa merda, porra.
뭘로 할까요?
나는 갈리오 추천.
Bruno Valangalho.
갈리오가 상징적으로는 갈리오가 맞지.
나이스면 요네스. 저는요 사일러스,
Silas?
갈리오, 요네. 그냥 좋아하는 순서대로 할게요. 카밀, 나르, 그라가스.
Tipo de Camille, mano.
네. 좀 예쁘게 나와.
Ah, ia ser legal.
그냥 이거는 제 개인적인 생각으로 말할게요. 저는 일단 회색, 막 흰색, 검은색 이렇게 해가지고 여기
Guma dá
유럽이니까
mais opinião, né?
박물관에 그런 예술품들
어우.
그런 컨셉을 생각해.
개인적인 생각이라고 말해주세요.
모두의 생각이 아니고 굉장히 개인적인.
É a sua opinião, não de todos. Ô,
아이씨.
저는요 검정 빨강.
Black and red.
Ah, pronto, foda-se. Guma falou pra caralho um monte de coisa, é o fake. Preto e vermelho. Foda-se, preto e vermelho agora.
둘다 세, 지금. 둘다 세.
감정이 들어가면 예뻐.
덧발로 가야 얘 흰색 작년 했잖아.
흰색은 그만해야지. 흰색이었어?
일단은 전 진이나 바루스를 생각하고 있는데 헤어스타일이 지금 제 헤어스타일이 좀 들어가면 좋을 것 같다는 생각을
Todo mundo zoando o Gumayushi. O Gumayushi falando pra caralho.
많은데 왜 그러세요? 나는 흰금 뭐
색깔을 일단 결정해야 돼.
지금 이거 해달래 생각.
자유롭게 여러 가지 던져주세요.
블랙 레드 아니면 블랙 골드.
블랙 레드지.
And in the party, I eat croissant
Super one.
and say it's good. I think this motion, recall motion. Yes. 그리고 춤출 때
A dança que é isso, o Gumayushi sabe tudo dele. Já sabe a dança que o boneco vai fazer.
왜요?
너의 특색이 많이
제 특색이
결정해야 돼 내 색깔을.
맞아.
블랙.
Tudo fake, vamos decidir a cor, gente, pelo amor de Deus.
그레이는 제가
아 그래?
Perdão, como ficou as cores mesmo? Mas ficou preto e vermelho. Meio cinza ou preto?
블랙 레드와 블랙 골드.
É, tem um cinza mesmo.
어우. What? 하얀색이 하나도 없었어.
Nada de branco, peguei e pediu nada de branco.
Yes.
Falando pra ter o amuleto de tigre do One. Tem? Não sei se tem ser separado aqui. Pera aí, deixa eu ver a da Vai. Ainda não comprei essas skins, não. Até da Vai agora, peraí. Tem um negócio aqui, né? Mas não acho que é o tigre, não. casaco dele.
만약에 나르 같은 거 하면은 좀 귀여운 챔피언 하면은 제 안경을 끼고 있으면 좋겠어요.
Ah, ele quer o nar de óculos.
뭐가 나오는데?
이 컨셉이 골자로 가면 좋겠다 싶은 거 있나요? 이런 간지로 나.
Tá de óculos? Não, acho que tá não.
블랙골드.
은근불?
은근불?
Prata, ouro.
은은
preto.
없었어.
은은 모르겠고.
레드가 있어요.
블랙골드 아니면 블랙레드.
레드에
블랙골드.
이거는 튀어는 빨간색이.
테마는요?
너무
테마
무리한 거예요.
비주얼적인.
O Faker é muito T1, né, mano? Os caras falando das cores, o Faker não tem que ter vermelho porque T1 é vermelho. Ah, o Mininata
약간
de
좀
óculos.
그 아무튼 작가는 느낌이 좋을 것 같은데 작년에
아무튼
하얀색 느낌.
작년에는
인정하지?
그러니까
그건 동의할 수 있어.
추상적으로
작년에는 너무 밝고 화사하고 부드러워가지고 좀 이제 좀 그러니까
위화감.
Fala, Kelly, fala, fala.
이런 느낌.
Coração. Ah, eles queriam uma parada mais
근데
dark.
저희
빡세게
프로그램
Ficou dark, ficou dark.
좀 다크하고 이제 빡센 게 같지 않아?
빵이야 간지.
O Faker é animadão, né, mano? Nem parece que o cara já tá acostumado aí a fazer isso aí. Deixa eu ver só o óculos do Mininá que eu não reparei. Tá azul aqui, né? É, tem óculos mesmo. Deu pra ver aqui, ó. Bugou aqui.
빡센 플레이어는 간지가 나.
잠깐만.
그러니까 엄격하고
그러니까 롯이 내고 있는 거
째려보는 느낌. 아니 좀 약간 그림자, 약간 어둠에 약간. 그건 안 좋아한다. 근데 별로.
여긴 좀
생각이 안
달라.
나잖아.
그거 아니야? 그럼 뭔데? 그럼 뭔데?
그러면 이제 약간 좀 현대적인
아니, 뭐, 내
그런
엘레ган치.
간지
이게
디자인 이런 느낌이 나면 좋겠는지 아니면 좀 판타지스러운 진짜 약간
마치
화려한
우리가
그런 요소가 있는 게 좋은지.
판타지보다
약간 그
고전적인
고전 난 좋아 그런 느낌.
고전적인 예술.
약간 뱀파이어 같은 느낌이 아니었어?
Vampiresco.
생각하는 거?
다
다른 얘기하는 거야.
뱀파이어 드라큘라 느낌.
감독님 혹시 이제 와드 하나 더
와드?
업데이트가 될
Vídeo ágil.
타임인데 생각해 두신 거 있나요?
아 저는
와드가 주어진다면?
저는 그러면은 우리 스태프들이랑 같이 그러니까 개인보다 같이 되면 좋을 것 같아요.
꼬마님 거 말고 그냥 우리 다 같이 느끼고.
네, 우리 스태프들
Ó,
재현이랑.
ele falando que. Caramba, como é muito foda, mano. Como é muito foda. Ele falando, pô, você vai ter uma skin de ward, eu não quero uma pra mim, eu quero uma pra comissão técnica, né? Pro Tom e pro Roach.
그래서 저럴 수도 있어.
나갈까 이게?
작년에 우리가 말을 많이
저희
말 너무 많이 했어. 그래서 이렇게 뒤집박스 된 거야.
저의 말을 들으면 들을수록 더 이상해질 수도 있어요.
지금까지 정리하면은
Vai distrair aqui.
고전적인 느낌의 간지나고 무서운 느낌.
왜냐면 이제 2013년도처럼 나오고
그게 고전적이야. 줄 하자.
어린이들 느낌.
그러니까 약간 그 살러스가 죽음 훔치잖아요. 그래서 좀 도적 느낌.
뭔가 스파이더맨은
스킬 투사체가 명확하게 좀 보이니까 그게 좀 잘 보여요.
그림자 이런 테마를 하면 나머지 분들은
안 돼요.
그분들이 원한다는데 스킨 만드는 분들
노 배트는
그러니까 빨강이 있으면 딱 멋있다.
아쉬워.
사장님이 항상 의견을 내겠지?
Muito bom, mano.
아니 과거가 있는
이 사람들은 다 그렇게 얘기하잖아. 이걸 할 때는 이 하얀색 유니폼을 펼치면서 과거 회상을 하는 거.
Caramba, o Faker já. Caralho, o Faker já viajando pra caralho.
이제 여기 뒤에 배경에 홀로그램으로 딱 나오는 거죠.
The Memory는 벌써 세 번째일 것 같고, 근데 바로
Deve ter sido
초대
esquidinho.
월드 스킨 오너.
Ah, não tem nenhuma skin do Varus.
그게 마지막으로 이제 가야 되거든요. 나 이건 꼭 말하고 가야겠다 하는 거 있어요.
저는 기업 모션 할 때 그 뭐 홀로그램처럼.
두 개의 레퍼런스 받고 싶으신 분 있으세요? 캐리어 선수처럼?
저는 나르도 안경 쓴 나르요.
Tá de óculos.
And Camille? Vai and Ginger for honor.
저도 그런 심플하게 집밥.
Tem todo os caras de não. E já tem 12 times no Mundial. O Keller falando, porra da Renata, ninguém joga com boneco. Bom, mano. Ficou muitas referências do Keller, né? Mas eu sei que tem uma parada muito foda na do Keller. Cadê? Olha só. Vai melhorar o... A do Carry tem uma parada nele. Que é, ele tem meio que alguma vez comendo coração. A do Carry tem uma parada que é tipo um bilhete tipo, de procurados, de quais são os alvos que ele vai matar, tá ligado? Recal. Ah, e tem que mostrar todos os ults, né? É pentakill, né? Vai pra um barco. Aí tem um troféu do Mundial ali. Pô, não mostrou, mano. Do Kerry tinha uma parada, velho. Não tá dando pra ver aqui. Caramba, é da hora isso aqui, né? Mas tem uma parada que ele abre, tipo, um pergaminho. É uma dança, sei lá. E nesse pergaminho tem, tipo assim, mano, os campeões que ele vai matar, tá ligado? Em sequência. Na final. É muito da hora. Muito bom esse conteúdo, né, mano? Gostei, gostei. Quem tá vendo o canal de cortes, deixa o like e inscreve no canal. Comentei. O React não foi preguiçoso. Selo que aula de React.
I think other options, Knight's been really good at the Galio this year. I mean, he still has the Azir, which is probably going to be banned away on red side. But yeah, for me, it's probably just B1 Talia, go from there, let Knight run a map, and I think that's the highest odds to get you to a game 5.
Now, K-Man, I got to bump in real quick before I hear your thoughts.
Take
because it looks like we've got a little bit of some breaking news, according to you, one of our resident LPL experts. And you can see here on the live view graphic, that is Shadow coming back in with BLG's backs against the wall. Oh, man. Are we going to get another honeymoon phase? What's going to happen here?
Same playoff run, baby. 2 games. 2 games each.
Oh boy, the carousel keeps on turning here.
You know
BLG hoping to get the buff.
There are 2 things in life. One, nothing circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. 2, nothing circles the jungle wagon like BLG's coaching staff, you know? It just be what it do.
Man, I mean, you know, we saw the mini honeymoon buff. We saw BLG memeing about it on their socials after they took the series reverse sweep style over JDG. They're going to need a similar level of turning things around going into game number 4.
If top esports win this game or they win the series, BLG, your problems are not the jungle, it is your support, all right? You got to make more changes. At least we see Shadow with a big Italian smile on his face, and we'll see if the Italian stallion can step up, help him win the series.
Well, Beishwan certainly was nobody's son in this game, as Kanavi's been daddy all 4 games of this best of 5. We'll see if Shadow has anything to say about it.
Ah, o Shadow vai entrar?
Slayer.
Shadow vai entrar mesmo, mano. Eu falei que eles iam chamar o Shadow. Shadow.
What another chapter added to our series. Thank you, Grapes of the Analyst Desk, and welcome everybody to another new iteration of BLG with Shadow back in for just his second playoff game.
Parar, né?
Oh, just give me your first reactions, because you kind of were alluding to this happening a bit during that game 3.
It would have had to happen now, and in this situation, I think what Shadow brings is direction for this team. He immediately slotted in, and everybody was talking about his ability to talk and just lead this team. That's what they needed, especially these 2 soul laners. Knight and Bin, a little bit less active in comms, at least from what we've gotten from the team. On and Elk really, I think, utilizing and trying to make sure this team can run in the mid game. Elk is not having a great series against Jackie Love, all things considered, especially in that game number 3. That was pretty tough to watch. I think that just continues to compound on what we were talking about from draft. Varus as a champion kind of falling off after the nerfs. So let's see it. Let's see if Shadow can do exactly what he did in split number 3, which was bring BLG back to life and maybe even continue on with that jungle honeymoon that they've been joking about.
I'm glad you alluded to that interview that we got from Knight early on in split 3 with the comms stuff. But, you know, outside of the comms and the vibe change that Shadow brings, as we get set for the game 4 draft, right, with BLG likely sticking on that blue side. Talk to me about how, you saw a little bit of the champion graphic thrown up, but talk to me about how Shadow as a player, factoring in the Fearless as well, looks different from a draft standpoint than what we were expecting to get from Beitron in the same spot.
I think
Seus kits não, né? Boa.
Shadow is a lot more generic of a jungler. He's going to play the engage. He has, I think, a few niche picks. Almost all LPL junglers are going to have Lee Sin in their back pockets. I feel like Baytron is actually the more explorative player.
Até se banindo Kiana agora que o Shadow
now
deixou
we're
a
getting
sair,
into
mano.
what has been a very similar
Deixou a insano de
draft
Kiana.
strategy as we get into the back half of this pick ban.
Ah!
It's been Kiana. Azir is going to make it through. Most importantly, that is going to be the first pick coming on
Azir
through
do
for
Knight,
and
meu
there
Deus.
was no Bard. All of the support engage picks are gone now, so Lucian Braum immediately stands out in my mind.
Let's see if
Nossa,
Jackie
Deus.
Love wants to go for
Que
that
Ziggs,
top
mano.
esports. It's interesting to see Nightlock in this Azir as we do get Lucian Braum, because a fun part of this
Ziggs.
split was a Knight starting to break out the playmaking ability of the Ziggs into this Azir. It'd be funny to see
Yeah,
him
Ziggs.
turn onto him, but speaking of quick turns, how about that bottom lane swing from BLG?
This
Ali,
is
a Kali
tough. We're
pra mim é
playing
boa.
Kalista Renata. This is going to be a bot lane
Kali é bom
that is
contra
all-out brawls.
Nata,
We're going to
né?
see all-ins on level 2.
Aqui é
We're
Ziggs
going
ou
to
Akali,
hopefully
mano.
see
Ziggs ou
this
Akali.
Jackie
Ziggs ou
Love
Akali.
Lucian pick really start to work
Thalia não
out.
é bom
And
aqui.
for this
Ziggs ou
matchup to work,
Akali.
it is completely
Mano,
around
Ziggs é
Hong being able to
bom
land
aqui, TES.
Winter's Bite. If they
Meu
can't do it in the mid game,
céu.
expect for something a
Vamos de
little
game
bit
sim.
spicier here. That was the Thalia now being picked up. A matchup that we saw very early on into the year be very Thalia favored. I wonder how it's going to look now with all of the changes that we have
Podem
seen
até ganhar,
from,
mas eu
now,
queria muito.
from the beginning of January up into here. So second phase of draft, no junglers taken
desperdiçada,
away.
mano.
And I'm looking right now, we still have Skarner, we still have things like Sejuani that are up and available. Many things.
Yeah, so tough, even tougher pill to swallow here for Shadow coming in here down 2-1. Now,
Bani Seju.
you have to watch your pool get pinched even further.
Tem que banir
Yano
Seju
is already
aqui.
banned away. Popular respect's been paid all series long, but
E
the
ficar
Skarner come
alguma
off the
deck
board.
carry
That
de
is a
engage aqui ainda
champion
tenha.
Shadow likes a lot
Jungle de engage, né?
with BLG. Xin Zhao is a champion
Temos
that's made it through a lot
Xin
of these
Zhao, mano, tem
picks
até
and
agora.
first phases of drafts. Kanavi will not have access to that. I am still very intrigued to see what jungle looks like, all because now especially with Shadow in here, who I think has more of an ability to play the carry junglers. Kanavi coming off one of the greatest carry jungle performances we've seen all year, and more facilitators coming off the board. Are we just opening this up to see more carry junglers come out in this game 4?
The only one that I can think that comes to mind is Nefiri right now for Kanavi, and obviously Nefiri has been
Entrando,
toned
não
down
tem
since her split team
Pantheon, não
dominance.
tem Java, não
Also
tem
seeing again
Wukong,
Xin Zhao taken away by
não tem
BLG.
Xinzao, não tem Seju,
Is
não
this
tem
gonna be
Skarner,
the Nefiri? It's the
não tem
Zed,
Zed.
another champion that Kanavi has definitely been incredibly difficult
Nefiri.
to deal with.
Yes.
So here for BLG, are we going to get a Nocturne performance? Is this kind of the last remaining jungle?
Ah, tem
that
vai,
we've
né? Mas
seen
vai é
from
muito ruim
Shadow,
aqui
at
contra
least in the
Nefiri,
regular season
Brown.
here? What is a top lane pick here for Bin? We've gotten no Gnar here in this series. Gwen is a champion that completely fell out of the draft after game 1 and game 2. So what are the options?
Não faço nem ideia que vai ficar aqui na jungle.
Maokai
Maokai.
is the hover. Vi is still hanging around here as well.
Não,
if
Vi
you
tá
want
maluco.
to go
Vai cair
for
de
some
moto.
target lockdown, but they're instead gonna lean into the peel here. So
Maokai não é ruim, não.
Shadow coming in on the Maokai, and he's gonna play Protector. Gotta think this Maokai is trying to
Mas tinha
play
meme
his
de
best
Azir
of an
ainda.
answer into this Nefiri to make sure Kanavi does
Que
not
jogava,
run
né?
wild
Começou a jogar esses
again
bichos.
and end this series.
Yeah, and this is such a weird pick because there is a lot of crowd control already coming in. Now, what does 369 go with? Because from what we've got from Top Esports, this feels like a composition that is a mid-ranger. They want to keep you at bay. They want to make sure that they can try to whittle away at you. Maybe they find a pick with a Thalia flick, things of the nature. Now with a Cho'Gath, that really feels like that identity is accentuated. You're going to have the Cho'Gath knockup alongside the Feast to not only deal with Yorick, but any other potential contenders. And for BLG, this is a composition that
Cara,
is
BLG
so
não tem
heavily
engage,
gated
né?
around range. Not only
Da
just
TES não
Renata
tem
and her
engage.
kind of range to auto attack, but what can Knight do when you have a Renata and a
Difícil demais executar
Maokai
essa
at
contra
your
da
back,
TES.
providing you with peel and
Eles
assistance?
são muito bons, né,
This
mano?
has to be another performance where we
É
are
difícil
looking
executar isso
either
aqui,
at
tá?
Knight
Contra
or at Oak to step
a
up,
Azir.
and that has been the other performance where we
É
are
difícil
looking
executar isso
either
aqui,
at
tá?
Knight
Contra
or at Oak to step
a
up,
Azir.
and that has been the biggest question.
Chance at back-to-back grand finals, but Ulk for a chance to go straight to Worlds. It is dwindling by the minute. Can BLG save themselves with another carousel switch in the jungle?
Top Esports can only auto-qualify if they win the entire thing. If BLG are able to make it happen, send us to 5, and win tonight, they would auto-qualify as the first team from the LPL to go to Worlds 2025. And it starts here. It starts with the man in the jungle. It starts with Knight having to stand up, and with BLG trying to fight back in this series.
And all before all of that, the BLG fandom and their gyos loudest as possible.
Vou pegar um café, tá, gente? Tô morrendo de sono, velho.
Billy fans, cheer for the faith. Make your voices heard.
Já
Whether
volto
it is
aí.
in Twitch chat or it is there in Shenzhen. The AI thinks that BLG will win if this game goes later than 30 minutes. Top Esports do have a lot of playmaking in the early game. And I have got to say, Slayer, this series is already delivering. We've got massive 1v9 performances. We've had games thrown from a mid-game advantage. We've seen games reclaimed from a mid-game throw. We're getting every single bit of drama here, and that's exactly what we expected between Top Esports and Billy.
And as not BLG fans, not as Top Esports fans, but fans that have a love for the game, the only thing that could be the cherry on top of a series like this would be all 5 games. See if BLG can get over the hurdle and make sure we get
B2 here, so Top Esports, they're going to have to at least seed priority for now. What I wanted to talk about before was what does Kanavi do here? Because Maokai really can't duel all that well versus Nefiri. I think very important that Shadow did opt for the phase rush here in this matchup. Gonna have to just get in and immediately get out, especially with the builds that we've been seeing from Maokai, more opting into the AP variants and trying to utilize those saplings, which are so important for controlling portions of the map.
Oh, here we go. New jungler, same Kanavi. And he is looking to catch Shadow on his clear, or maybe go for a bot lane gank that wasn't spotted. This is the power of the Fear with that dash over the wall. There was no heal. There was no flash on Elk. He's already used it. Trying to get the dogs to hunt down onto Elk. They're going to target on instead. Flash comes across. And the pack cannot finish off that kill. But that is both flashes off the BLG bottom lane within the same 10 seconds.
And more importantly here for JackieLove, it's about getting this wave in because it is pushing away, and Elk has so much more HP than his counterpart. There is no barrier here for JackieLove. Kanavi says, I can't help anymore, guys. You're just going to have to either take a recall or suck it up because I have an entire bot side quadrant that I still have to contest for.
See
the picture of how those flashes were lost. It is On who's able to move, and Hong, I don't think you're going to be able to do too much here. So let's just get Kanavi is clear. Let's get towards that top side of the map.
Trying to go for the hero steal onto that scuttle, and now Shadow wants to look for that engage. He's got Elk in position. Hong, a head-scratching first blood. The first blood of this series, not claimed by Kanavi.
There we go. Doing already great. Shadow staying for the rest of the series, guys. I can guarantee that. Maybe not. But will mean that in terms of Kanavi trying to get his own lead, he is down a full level early on because Kanavi did try to go for that play bottom side. And Shadow now gets double scuttle and almost double Kanavi CS very early. I like this start for Shadow.
Assim, não acho que tem muito. Eu prefiro Billy aqui, mas não acho que é outdraft nem nada de ninguém, não. Tu tá ícones que aparece no celular quando tá em tela cheia. Ícones que aparecem no celular.
What can they do to continue to push this lead? Because BLG are once again in that spot where you saw with the, the AI super server factored in. They can look to kind of play pretty comfortably. They don't need to really rush the pace of this game. Don't mind buying time for Bin to settle into this matchup. Get the
Renata é ruim contra Brown, né, mano? É ruim contra o shield do Brown, né? O ult dela. Ah, eu tô com o chat errado. Mano, caiu a live. Peraí. Vou pegar o chat certo.
Good start here for BLG though, winning the bot lane matchup, or at least getting themselves a nice advantage.
Ah, não, tô com o chat certo já.
Jungle is slightly muted. not completely
Tem like aí no YouTube, rapaziada. Quem tá assistindo aí ajuda demais. E quem puder colar na Kik, cola na Kik.
Top esports, as we get into later fights, even around this first dragon that's here, or the grubs that are in 2.5 minutes, you are basically reliant on either a Winter's Bite tag by Hong, or you are looking for Talia to get a combo down here. Not able to get those stuns, that is the entire crux of this matchup. If you can't get that stun, the Winter's Bite does very little after that. Gotta get those concussive blows to come on down.
Speaking of coming on down, hello Kanavi, welcome back to the bottom lane. It's once again eluded the vision. The BLG trying to set up here. Shadow going to finish off those Krugs, and Kanavi still trying to play around with this fog. He's not going to look for the bot lane angle. Instead, Shadow's going to be spotted in that tri-brush.
Renato Kalista vs Show parece muito bom, né? Opa.
Opa,
Knight. Knight. Falaram que ele não sabia jogar de Azir.
Again, as it's been all series long, Knight cannot buy a 1v1
against me fall. Stephen Curry, how I ball.
It's the 4th game in a row that Kanavi has killed off Knight in the 2v1.
Maokai's gonna grab himself, or at least start up the dragon. They can move their bottom lane. Maybe Shadow gets pulled off of here, and they try to force JackieLove to miss out on part of the wave.
Idney, se o Brasil levar as duas vagas da LTS, não vai acelerar o fim da LTS, acho que não vai. Vai pra caralho.
Oh,
he got body blocked! Holy moly, minion block! JackieLove has to flash. Looks like the minions even want BLG to go to game 5 here. Shadow's trying to propel them further. The shield comes down just in time for the Ren to come through for Elk.
That is a disgusting BLG minion. We gotta get him a pay raise. Maybe that guy's coming in for Shadow's job if they're not able to win this game. That was a tough look there.
Estou de fora desse jogo aí, mas vai dar
You get the
bilibili.
flash out from JackieLove. Hong ends up dying for a 2nd time in this game. Elk has to make it happen on this Kalista at this point. So much available to him in this draft. And it was going to rely on whether the mid or the AD carry of BLG could stand up to top esports. Not able to do all that much, and especially with that kill in mid lane, meant that Cream did have access to the Weaver's Wall, could have answered that play if they wanted it.
Take that TES.
Next play is already rolling through here. Is Kanavi feeling comfortable to just solo out this dragon? Grubs are about
Já tá fora não, Dennis. Ela pode ir ainda, vai disputar a regional. Vai disputar as vagas. Quem ganhar aqui tá no Worlds. Já garante seed 1 ou 2, né?
Allowing them to set up for 3 grubs, but TS are making a long march up towards the top side here, and they're going to get the flick back on the Knight.
Mano, esse Azir do Knight é meio duro mesmo, né? Ih, 369, mano. Pegar o meu ovo ali, pera aí.
Still a flash burn nonetheless.
That's impressive. One of the important parts of this matchup in top side is about saving your ultimates here. For Bin, if he pops down the Maiden, the Feast from Cho'Gath immediately one-shots her. But as long as you're saving that ability, it means that 369 can't use it on minion waves or even use it on objectives here. So 2 grubs going over to BLG, and now Bin taking over this bottom lane. He gets another wave for himself. BLG starting to eke out a pretty meaningful advantage.
Aceitam ovo? Quem quer ovo? Quem quer ovo? Quem quer ovo aí, fala eu no chat.
Good control around objectives, strong play from the bottom lane. This is what we were looking towards when we were talking about Elk versus JackieLove.
Falei no chat daqui que eu.
Because we're so used to this from BLG, getting up this much gold early. This is the first time this series they've really gotten an early lead and been able to say, all right, what can we do to expand on that? Despite the fact that they have a game win, if you're joining in late, to help you reminisce, game 1 was all comeback mechanic for BLG. They really have been able to lead early, so to see them in this spot, it's normal given the split 3 circumstances, but not normal to the series we're currently in the upper bracket.
It's not even just the series. I mean, when else in all of LPL regular season have we seen Knight getting repeatedly throughout series focused in lane and getting targeted, as well as also falling? Usually Knight is pretty decent about being able to survive the ganks for the most part. JackieLove getting traded upon.
Gonna get the handshake to pull him away from the turret. No, they can't get him out of the aggro, and Hogs in a snap engage. Elk takes a turret shot. Glacial Fissure gonna knock him up, and Elk and On overextend themselves, and just like that, their 2v2 lead explodes.
Cream can't even get here in time. Use the Weaver's Wall, has to go right back into mid lane. Nothing else that BLG can do to answer. It'll be another wave missed here. Elk and On losing.
Teve gordinho que falou de tudo na transmissão da LTA ontem. Não, que gordinho?
And be ready for this timer. They've got to rotate again.
Gordinho, pô, chamando um cara assim. É o que? Gringo?
And Kanavi, he's got stuff to do. He's got a dinner date ready for after this series.
Might want to just set up a function under this tier.
Porra, tomar no cu.
Tier 1 turret. Let's go look back though at Elk and On just over-aggressing, thinking they have the ability to pull Jackie Live away from this turret. I don't know what to make of this.
He even might have to just trade his life. Elk and On thought that they could do a little bit
gemidão
more.
aí pra vocês tomar susto
I
aí.
know. Coach Homie is incredibly stressed with how this is looking. Ben's dead.
Ben. Yep. Sayonara. There's the Rupture knockup and
Sayonara.
Konami's second kill. BLG, what? I mean, we were propping up this lead. We're like, all right, finally, maybe we can see someone else support Knight, help BLG out of these early deficits they're always in. And just like that, they're basically back to ground zero.
Point in this series that we have seen repeatedly and we have talked about here on the broadcast during
Mano,
playoffs,
todo mundo.
support first items. Hong in every one of these games has gotten his redemption before On multiple times and
Dá outro gemidão do Zap aí.
minutes before his opponents. Now Shadow loses a flash because Jackie Love and Cream were almost about to make a play. Jackie Love's flash is coming back up and the calling is going to be
A TES só é melhor.
So
Eu acho até um time melhor também, mas jogado.
for BLG aside from a Raptor camp. They're trying to starve
E o Knight são muito bons, mano. Eu acho o Bin Knight é o que podem stand out aí, tá ligado? Mas tem um gapzinho do Canavi. O Canavi é o melhor player em campo, né?
Yeah, we don't talk about game number 3 anymore. All right, if we want this
Ele
to go
Bin, né?
5, that game 3 needs to be redacted from memory for now. Let's talk though about some first item power spikes coming across here. I mainly want to focus on the Profane Hydra for Kanavi that's seen a lot of buffs. And you see these carry junglers leaning on a bit more, and also the fact that Jackie Love has the Essence Reaver. Lucian, we've seen a lot of scalers take over the AD meta. We've had conversations about 3 items, 4 items, but no, we're finally arriving on those Snowbally-esque champions, and Jackie Love getting the Essence Reaver done is going to really help this Lucian push out a lot of damage in the mid game.
Will also just mean that right now to be able to contest on mid-wave, it's a lot more difficult for Elk to properly walk up. No Blade of the Rune King available to him. None of that slow and movement speed boost that he would have access to normally. Let's see that right now. BLG trying to play between 2 spots right here. They want to walk into jungle, want to try to contest. They have Maokai ultimate, all of these buttons that they can press. Knight is also going to make his way
Cara,
over.
Shibili tá, mano.
Because they didn't contest and because they weren't able to get vision deep enough, they're missing out on this mid-wave. Top Esports get to start on this first. Maybe they just try to trade instead of the Dragon. Go for Bin. Does 369, he uses the Feast. They will not have that secure.
Solo Crab gonna spawn, BLG gonna...
Sei que você tá achando, assim, tem o fato de ter o Azia, mas, mano... A Calice escala aqui nesse jogo, tá? A Calice escala nessa partida aqui. Com essa comp da TES e tal, a Calice escala. Escala legal. A Calice aqui, o On vai ultar e vai, né? Nem ultou, On. Que isso, On? Falei que ia ficar de fora dessa bomba aí, mano. O Canavi tá tentando perder o jogo, ele não perde, mano. Na fila não morre. Caralho, mano, muito gap, mano.
I love this pull and tug that we're getting from these 2 teams here. Not only have we talked about the interaction between our 2 top laners' ultimates, but really it is a game of chicken. Who is going to pull the trigger first on some of these fights? Are you going to be able to step forward? I think Shadow needed to either use his ultimate more proactively or get something to happen. Look at this knockup. On is unable to use the keeper or this ultimate. There is no hostile takeover coming on through, and the fight is completely split up here. Jackie Love and Kanavi get right onto Elk. There is no ability for BLG to walk forward. Nothing from Knight to be able to stop this ultimate. He uses the ultimate to push Kanavi away after this. Coach Homie and the rest of Top Esports looking incredible here in this game number 4. Shaky laning phases be damned. They are playing to their advantage, and Kanavi now gets to just run through this game roughshod.
TES Mundial, isso é uma ameaça.
So glad that we got to see Kanavi lean right back into that carry-oriented jungle pick.
Let's give him a marca.
Doesn't care who the jungler matching up on the other side of him is. All even for the rest of these playoffs, you throw Shadow at him, you throw Beitwan, it doesn't matter. The way this guy's playing, no one can stop him except maybe the defending champion jungler. It feels like he has a date with Destiny in as the culling drops through. Elkin on very low. It's got to be the redemption that sets up for the Rift Herald take. So Shadow gets the smite down, but getting the Rift Herald itself is a whole other challenge. Shadow, you cannot throw this game away.
Não, com a Z dele. Não, o
o
Knight sempre foi horrível. Opa, Knight, meu Deus do céu. Tem nada de LoL, mano. Knight entende. Knight, tu é craque da bola. Olha a Kalista nesse jogo, mano. A Kalista é muito forte aqui, mano. Puta que pariu, super BLG, guys. O On jogou muito, né, mano? O On jogou muito, o On jogou muito. O On, o Knight, todo mundo jogou muito.
Finally, a series where we see these two, and there is so many different ways that these two teams can control objectives. 369 with his feast, and more importantly for Elk, even if this Kalista is not going to be as useful in fights, it is about having access to the rend here. Top Esports, I think you just need to be able to give here. This engage from On makes up for what was a
Olha o On, mano. Porra é essa, On?
If Talia does not have flash or she cannot react,
O On não tá puro não, guys. O On não está puro.
Not only for Knight but for Elk as well. And this was a massive investment. That was a teleport from 369. Now we got to get into a spot here, Slayer. When we get back to live, it'll be 2.5 minutes.
Não, minha visão é ficar de fora desse jogo. A não ser que tenha alguma oportunidade que eu acredite realmente boa. Até agora eu não vi nenhuma, não identifiquei nenhuma. Não vejo outdash de nenhum dos lados. Prefiro o draft da Bilibili, mas ligeiramente assim. Mas nada demais também. Assim, os dois drafts é difícil de executar, os dois drafts depende muito de execução mecânica, tá ligado? Os dois drafts, se você fizer uma cagadinha, você perde a fight. Mas, mano, o Elk é muito bom, né, velho? Jogar tá molinho, molinho, mano. Opa. Não pode estar aí, mano. Mano, essa galera não podia estar aí, não. Podia. Nossa, o ult, a Renata não tava sem ult ainda.
Kanavi was doing a hell of a lot of damage. That flash from Shadow basically saves him in this play. But now we're in a spot. On.
Flick back, no hostile takeover. Picked off again, just like the big fight won for TES, and they want more. They're hungry, feasting to chomp down on BLG, and Shadow without flash is the next one to see a stone and a wolf pack hunt him over the wall.
Minute before this dragon spawns would be sole point here for Top Esports. Let's get this mid-tier 1. Let's use that demolish on 369. How will BLG be able to enter into Fog of War? There are no wards on this bottom side jungle for them. And there'll be buttons that'll be very important for TES to play with as we get closer to this objective. Maybe they don't even play for the dragon. Honestly, Slayer, with their lack of abilities and some of these ultimates, I might expect that Top Esports will drop this. Maybe they play towards the bottom.
Canai vai carregar essa bomba aqui, será?
Spread yourself away and look towards the Otacon in 1 minute time.
At least for now, it looks like they're starting to get items on even keel footing between both sides. Flicker Blade done for Jackie Love to match the Rage Blade out from Elk. Got 2 items, a lead for Kanavi in items and a lead for Knight in items. Something we haven't been able to say all series long. Gotta watch how those 2 leads interact.
Agora, guys.
The Dance for the Dragon is set up. This would be Ocean Soul for Top Esports. At around 20 minutes, a huge win con for them to get, but they are losing control rapidly of the river.
Todo mundo concentrado. O que vai acontecer? O que vai acontecer? Quem vai pegar o flanco? Quem vai dar o engage? Meu Deus, mano. É muito Bilibili, parece, na fight, não, mano? Isso tem muito DPS, mano. Jack Love pode fazer isso aí, cara? Meu Deus, cara. Meu Deus, olha o On jogando, mano. Que isso, cara? Fight troll. O Kanavi tem que morrer aqui, não? É, o Jack Love morre ali também.
Nigga wanna see me fall. Stephen Curry, how I ball. Gosha garments and a white 3 on my body. I'm an icon, man. And my girl about a 10. I should fuck her in a bed.
Cara, o Elk é muito craque, moleque.
Otacon is the
Puta que
teleport
pariu,
from
Masterclass do
369.
Elk, mano.
I thought there were plenty of mistakes there, but Top Esports are unable to finally put the nail in
Elk
the
é muito
coffin.
bom, mano.
And tonight, he was using that range exquisitely in that fight. And this is exactly the game number 4 that the fans deserve. This starts off with what I thought was a mistake because on
O áudio, eu vou ter que comprar um stream deck maior, mano, porque eu tô tendo que ficar mexendo nas páginas do stream deck aqui, tem 3 páginas já. Eu tô jogando videogame aqui nos áudios, tá ligado, ó. Aí, às vezes, mano, às vezes eu quero botar o... Nossa, eu nem botei o áudio da Ana Filha, ó. Eita, me ligaram aqui, peraí.
Look at that picture-in-picture right now. We are going to the Baron. No flash on Jackie Love. No flash on Cream.
Otacon below half HP, guys. This replay isn't that worth it because the engage is coming out from BLG. Otacon aggro going to get dropped here. Hong trying to use a Glacial Fissure to buy some space. Bin has to flash over a seismic shove look from Cream. And Otacon has reset nearly to full HP. BLG still hurting from the resistance.
Espera que eu tinha que fazer um pix, tô fazendo aqui agora.
Drops off, but with the Rend available and that Rend smite,
Ai.
feel like they have enough control to try and burn through it. Do TES want to gamble? Basically, this entire game, I'm looking for the Otacon. It's only Hong that's able to step up, makes a good cage. Konami,
Meu Deus do céu.
Hong steals the Otacon with the seal spellbook smite. How does he get away with that?
Baby, I'm playing on you tonight. I should not eat your life.
For the Rend. That is all she can do in mid-game.
Tá uma bomba, tá uma bomba, tá uma bomba. Tá uma bomba.
In this mid-game.
Essa liga tá uma bomba, guys. Tá uma bomba essa porra. É uma bomba, é uma bomba. É uma granada. Tu quer abraçar a granada? Quer abraçar uma granada? Se quiser abraçar a granada, vai lá e abraça.
He doesn't even have it, by the way, at the start of this. He needs to be out of combat. He has to wait 5 seconds here. Q, 2200.
Mano, o Maokai tem o... Ai, papai.
184. I don't even know what to say. How do you get diffed? This was not even the starting support for Top Esports of the year. We had Crisp on this roster. He gets sent off into Weibo. So many questions about if Hong was going to be able to perform.
Oh no. Shadow may be caught here. Nature's Grass dropped. Weaver's Wall gonna try and section people off. The cooling has to come down from Jackie Love to try and protect Hong. Hong and Shadow.
Ele vai ganhar essa bomba ainda.
Trying to throw Sand Soldiers, but gets thrown up. Good stasis to get away from that flick back.
Eles estão tentando melhorar a audiência da China, guys. Tem que ter 5 jogos. Vai matar o Kanavi. Matou já.
Gosha garments and a white 3 on my body. I'm an icon, man.
And that should be what feels like the nail in the coffin for this game number 4. BLG have constantly been pressing onto Top Esports. They've been getting all of their summoner spells, and even with Kanavi getting as close as he can, even with miracle steals from Hong.
Elk! Oh my god. Oh, he gets knocked up though. Chomp, bailout. See ya later, Elk. Again, pushing his lead and limits too far.
Oh, Knight's also trying to do it. He's going to try and get some revenge onto his JDG kinfolk. 369 gets to 100 HP, but does not fall here.
E o cara do Outdraft? Alguém falou Outdraft aqui? Ninguém, Afonso. Eu preferi o draft da Bilibili, falei desde o início, mas eu achando o jogo muito bom, tipo assim, é muita execução e tal, tá ligado? Mas eu expliquei, a Kalista escala muito nesse jogo aqui, tá ligado? A galera tem muito trauma de Kalista, mas a Kalista bate free nesse game, tipo assim, mano. É muito short range lá, tá ligado? Não tem CC, assim, fácil de pegar a Kalista também, tá ligado? Não, essa história de que a Kalista é fraca late game, assim, é porque a Kalista é fraca em alguns late games quando ela fica sem range pra jogar, tá ligado, Bertem? Igual a Yunara. A Yunara, a gente tá vendo também, tem muito jogo de 32, 33, 35 minutos, e a Yunara, ela fica muito pior do que outros AD Carries porque ela fica com menos range, né? Tipo assim, às vezes ela é pior que... sei lá, que um Varus Attack Speed, tá ligado? Por não ter range, né? É difícil ela começar a bater e tal. É muito fácil tomar Vicoff, tá ligado? É muito fácil tomar o primeiro 1 CC na fight. A Kalista, o problema dela é esse. Só que ela, com a Renata, ela ainda tem o revive da Renata. Ela bate muito. Nesse jogo aqui, mano, meio que o dano dos caras é Naafiri e Lucian. Então, se não tiver nem Naafiri nem Lucian batendo na Kalista, mano, a Kalista com esse dizer que ela não morre, tá ligado? Ela não morre, mano. Porque ela tá ganhando MR aqui, ela tá curando aqui, tá ligado? Ela tá procando as paradas dobrado aqui. Ela tem o revive da Renata. Ela tem cleans. Se ela tomar alguma coisa, ela tomar... Se ela tomar um stunzinho do Brown. Que a L pede amanhã. É a L quem amanhã? Está deixando o Labubu da sorte na tela aí.
Would have to win the entirety of Split 3 in order to auto-qualify.
And knowing all of that and how important it is for top esports to keep their auto-qualification alive, it has been utter dominance the past 2 years from BLG. They are 5-1 in best-of-5 formats up against top esports. Their only lone loss, funnily enough, Volk, was 3-1 in Split 1 playoffs. The same score the top esports trying to make another comeback are looking to attain to keep that lifeline alive to head directly to Worlds.
Baby, I'm going into the night. E falava que a Kalista não escalava, daí que era Jinx e a Félix. Justo, também tem isso, né? Canavi é insano, Canavi é o melhor player da liga, gente. Ele e Bean são os melhores players da liga, assim. E o Knight, né, quando quer jogar também, mano. Só que o Knight tem alguns defeitos, né? O Canavi e o Bean não tem, mano. Jogam de tudo, jogam todos os metas, todos os papéis eles fazem no jogo, tá ligado? Tipo, sim. Meu Deus, mano. Bipagem maluca, velho. Meu Deus, olha o Elk. Fala que a Kalista não escala agora. Fala que a Kalista não joga aqui. Fala que essa Kalista não joga. Olha o Elk jogando. Olha o Elk jogando. Olha o Elk jogando. Vai matar todo mundo. Meu Deus, caralho, que medo. Vamos pra Game 5. Caralho, moleque. Caralho, Elk, calma. It could not have been without a 3-0, a 3-1. It had to be 5 games for a spot in the Caralho, as minhas falas da Kalista foram envelheceram igual vinho em segundos, né? Depois que eu falei. Fala que a Kalista não escala agora. Fala que a Kalista não joga aqui. Fala que essa Kalista não joga. Olha o Elk jogando. Olha o Elk jogando. Que medo. Calma, Elk. Kalista melee, a Kalista é melee. Meu Deus, mano. Ela é um melee mesmo, né? They don't wanna see me fall. They don't wanna see me fall. Stephen Curry, I'm a ball. Sabe de uma coisa ou outra? Sei. Coisinha ou outra eu sei. Vou postar no Twitter essa aqui. Postado, caralho, o Elk é muito bom. Podem fazer. O Elk precisa do antidoping, né? Quantas ml de texto o Elk tá tomando por dia aqui? Quantas aplicações, né? Quantas aplicações por semana de texto o Elk tá fazendo? Ai, mano. Ele é a melhor Kalista que eu já vi. Ele é muito bom, o Light também é muito bom, né? Acho que o Light Spy é melhor, mano. Uma na época que a lista tava muito forte também, ele era muito bom também, né? Mas eu acho que a questão da Calista do Guma, o mais bizarro era os campeões que permitiam o Keria jogar, tá ligado? O Double Lift tá reclamando aqui. Vamos ver esse drama aqui.
Hey guys, Elv's here.
Alguém sabe sobre o que é? Respeita o Guma, Bertenho. É craque. Achar o calendário da Cross Conference. É, rapaziada, vou falar a verdade. O negócio que aconteceu é o seguinte. Olha eu aqui, me indicaram eu fazendo uma pergunta pro Bin. Mas tá. Tá rolando... Vou começar de novo o corte. Rapaziada, é o seguinte, ó. Apareceu esse vídeo pra mim. Double Lift calls out, sei lá, chama atenção, né? Manda real pra Riot e a LTA. Não sei se tem alguma coisa a ver com a derrota da Red, mas é drama no cenário norte-americano. A gente vai ajudar o cenário norte-americano a acabar, porque a Cade vai ganhar da FlyQuest, a Red vai ganhar da 100 Thieves, e a gente vai mandar 2 times da LTA Sul pro Mundial, e ano que vem eles vão ter que dar outro nome pra essa bomba aí, porque ninguém mais vai querer ver essa bomba. Vambora, vamos ver.
Quick recording before my stream. Actually, my stream just started, but in
O
the
que eles estão
morning,
discutindo? Nem sei sobre o que é, mas é os dois discutindo, eu quero ver. Vamos ver.
Okay.
Last night I went on Twitter
Essa voz é do Mitchell, tá? Que tá na cal com eles também.
and I saw that
The Sheep Esports article, I assume? I saw the Sheep Esports article. Let me show you
Ah,
guys
é o
the article. Well, I guess
Dominate
he'll show it.
reagindo.
Okay, hold on.
according to the LTA North Twitter that there's matches today. Now the finals is on the 27th, which is in 2 weeks. So I kind of assumed that there was a break week and that because the finals is in 2 weeks, that these matches would happen the week before. I had no idea the matches were today. And when I actually looked a few days ago, and this is still the case, even today, the matches are literally today.
React do React.
If you Google LTA schedule, nothing shows up.
Calma aí, React do React. Porém, o Wild Dominate que tá com a cara dele em cima do Double Lift. Ah, meu amigo, quando que aula americano vê isso?
Whether this is a failing of like the rebrand or not, back in the day,
I knew the matches were
Ai, Dominate.
because they were on the Leaguepedia, but sometimes the Leaguepedia was completely wrong. So I 100% agree with like the fact that the scheduling is completely fucking stupid. I mean, I was giving wrong information to my players because before we got the confirmation from Riot of the schedule, what the Leaguepedia was showing was that we were going to have a break week before we played against our first match opponents, which were our first round opponents, which was Shopify. So
Pô. Ai, mano, eu não botei lá nenhuma legenda, rapaziada. Perdão. Eu vou mandar traduzir automaticamente em português. Perdão, rapaziada. Perdão. Já estamos em 2 minutos de vídeo. Mas ninguém da live reclamou. Ah, o cara falou da legenda agora. Tá, vou voltar um pouquinho aqui. Voltem. Esse 1 minutinho aqui deles falando. Vou começar o react de novo. Pode ser, gente? Com legenda? Que é sacanagem. Vamos lá, fazer aqui o react. Começar de novo, rapaziada. Tá rolando algum drama. Lá na LTA Norte. Não sei se tem a ver com a Red vencer, mas eu vi aqui o título aqui, ó. Double Lift chama a Riot, manda real pra Riot. É o Dominate reagindo aqui ao Double Lift.
recording before my stream. Well, actually, my stream just started, but in the morning, I slept on this, and I really just have to talk about it really fast.
okay.
Last night I went on Twitter,
Tá com uma legenda
and
automática
I
aí,
saw
guys.
that
The Sheep Esports article, I assume? I saw the Sheep Esports article. Let me show you guys the article. Well, I guess he'll show it. Okay.
Deixa o cara falar,
the
Dominate.
LTA North Twitter that there's matches today. Now, the finals is on the 27th, which is in 2 weeks. So I kind of assumed.
Ó, o Dominate aqui, ó, em cima do Double Lift. Que a aula americana vai ficar maluco quando ver isso. Nunca fiz essa piada, primeira vez que eu tô fazendo.
That there was a break week and that because the finals is in 2 weeks, that these matches would happen the week before. I had no idea the matches were today. And when I actually looked a few days ago, and this is still the case, even today, the matches are literally today. If you Google LTA schedule, nothing shows up. Whether this is a failing of like the rebrand or not, you know, back in the day.
I knew the matches were
mais fortes da Bolívia.
because they were on the Leaguepedia, but sometimes the Leaguepedia, I mean, the Leaguepedia was completely wrong. So I 100% agree with like the fact that the scheduling is completely fucking stupid. I mean, I was giving wrong information to my players because before we got the confirmation from Riot of the schedule, what the Leaguepedia was showing was that we were going to have a break week before we played against our first match opponents, which were our first round opponents, which was Shopify. So we actually got hit with a new patch into like, oh no, we actually play like next week.
We quem, mano? Quem que é o We, mano? We quem, mano? We. Nós. Ele tá falando dos times americanos? Porra, se os caras tiveram que jogar um patch novo do nada, os times brasileiros também, todo mundo teve que jogar um patch novo do nada, porra. É a regra pra todo mundo, não tô entendendo o que ele tá falando. Não é disso que ele tá reclamando, né? Mas do nada ele tá falando. Pô, mas é a regra, LTA sempre joga no patch live, é isso?
Which is just cringe. I mean, I don't know, like, why is it not obvious when the fucking games are played? It should be obvious to everyone when the games are played. Like, there's random break weeks for certain teams, like, the schedule is off, you get conflicting information from different things. LO Esports is notoriously dog shit. LO Esports is like one of the most dog shit sites to ever fucking look at to try to find any information on anything ever. It's
Caramba, galera, agora tudo faz sentido. Eles estão explicando. Gente, o NA só não tem mais audiência, ninguém quer assistir aquela bomba, o cenário só tá descascando e caindo, porque às vezes tá o horário errado, não tem o horário lá no site do LoL Sports. Aí por causa disso, mano, isso tá atrapalhando tudo, né? Faz sentido, né? Os caras perderam pra Red ontem por causa disso, rapaziada. Nossa, agora... Guys, o Palafox tomou gap 5 jogos ontem, porque ele não sabia o dia que ele ia jogar, guys. Porque não tinha no site do LoL Sports, mano. Nossa, a Riot tá sabotando eles, guys. Meu Deus, mano.
I mean, there's wrong start times. Like, for example, there was Worlds last year or 2 years ago, but I remember there was like a whole thing where I was trying to figure out when the actual matches started. Because LO Esports had a different start time than the time that was published by the LO Esports Twitter account. They said, hey, the games start at 2 I think it was during first stand, actually. I literally think it was during first stand. I could probably find this while we let the video.
Tô assim vendo esse drama.
Me mata de uma vez. Me mata de uma vez. Eu gosto quando ele dá o raiado. Me mata de uma vez. Me mata de uma vez.
Run. But they had a wrong start time during first stand. That's what it was. It wasn't during Worlds. And they had 2 different ones, bro. How do they not even know? I think it was even the LO Esports Twitter account had a different start time than the LTA North Twitter account, which had a different start time than the LO Esports fucking...
Gente, eu vou passar pra frente aqui e vou ver se o vídeo é 17 minutos eles reclamando da agenda. Porque olha só.
American time has to be right for Americans. You can't use the excuse of like, oh, well, we didn't know it was daylight savings time in America. It's too fucking confusing. I operate on daylight savings time in America, but I also work with a bunch of European people and they have a different daylight savings time than we have. And I always just know when that fucking is. Like, that is just a base level of being a competent.
Não é possível, mano, que o drama é sobre isso. Deixa eu ver se isso foi depois.
Like, we're not gonna even... Nobody is gonna double check the graphic. It's just one...
Gente, os norte-americanos descobriram que cada país tem um horário. Norte-americanos descobrindo que as pessoas não seguiam pelo horário norte-americano. Sim, mas sabe, posso falar uma parada? A chance de ter um americano... É porque assim, mano, às vezes eu tenho que tomar... Eu tenho contato muito com gringo e tal. Às vezes, mano, tipo assim... os caras falam o horário deles, tá ligado? Tipo assim. Os caras falam muito. Europeu fala sempre set time, né? E nem sei o que significa, né? Mas, tipo assim, set time, tá ligado? Central European Time. E os americanos falam muito Pacific Time. Tá ligado? Os caras acham que, pô, todo mundo seguia por isso, né? Todo mundo vive em volta desses horários
One
aí.
intern that's like sitting there.
Vou passar mais pra frente aqui. Ele, ó, tá falando de schedule, tá falando do schedule ainda.
And then you have to select this, which this actually they changed it. It's okay. So it says LTA, but it used to be LTA cross conference. Okay, wait, did it just change right now? Am I fucking delusional? I swear to God, this just said LTA and not LTA cross conference. But you have to select, it's not considered an actual league. Out, which like they can just say, oh, well, we have it there. You just didn't click the right button. It's LTA cross conference. So like on this, take technically Double F's wrong, even though I agree with him that it's stupid. They did have the right information there. You just had to work for it. But what I showed you before, where there's multiple different times for first stand starting, there's no excuse for that. That's just their bad. That's just pure incompetence.
Comentário. Mesmo com todos os esforços da Riot, o LoL ainda é o maior esporte do mundo. Tô falando, né, pô, mesmo com a Riot fazendo um monte de merda, o LoL ainda é muito grande. Você sabe que as coisas estão ruins quando o Dominate concorda com o Double Lift. Isso me lembra quando o Tyler Run basicamente, sei lá, runs out, tipo, que ficou maluco ou reclamou, deixou a Riot xereca, porque eles não queriam falar em qual momento que a nova season ia começar. Não, assim, mano, se tem alguém xingando a Riot, eu geralmente tô do lado dessa pessoa xingando a Riot. Mas eu só tô achando engraçado o drama que os caras estão fazendo, pô. Riot é outro exemplo que pra você ser sucesso no business, você simplesmente tem que ter ideia. Mano, aí eu já não concordo tanto. Acho que a Riot acertou em muita coisa e muita coisa de business eles acertaram. Eles foram mais inteligentes que outros jogos, né?
Is another omen of like a bad omen for the region. I know a lot of like the conversation on Reddit and stuff recently has been about yesterday at least there was like, you know, posts about Western League, Riot giving up, LCS viewership being at an all-time low. And I just feel like this, you know, is just yet another sign that feels very bad as a fan. So just had a...
Deixa eu ver como é que tá o LoL Sports aqui. Oi, tá indo pro Power Ranking aqui. Mas vamos ver aqui os jogos. Se a gente de todas as ligas, LTA Sul, LTA Norte. Ah, clique para revelar. Tá tudo certinho, gente. Manda o link do vídeo. Mas tá tudo certinho aqui, não. Não consigo ligar o proxy, senão a live cai. Senão eu ligaria um proxy pra fingir que eu tô em outro fuso horário e ver o que ia aparecer pra mim. Eles só são preguiçosos, eles estão reclamando que o horário aparece errado aqui.
To point this out, just wanted to yap about this for a second. I feel like it's really disappointing, and I hope that they turn the ship around. Delphier, quick edit. We're splicing this into the video.
If you work for clicking two buttons, dumbass. It's not about, oh, you have to click two buttons. If I made my stream, like, let's say I just fucking had a stream link, it was unlisted, and like...
O cara no chat dele falou, vocês estão preocupados que vocês têm que apertar 2 botões. Ele tiltou, ele ficou maluco.
I just fucking have a random link in a random place. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not streaming on Twitch anymore. It's like you have to go through some random link on my Discord. You have to open my Discord and then find like one channel and there's a link in there. Like, yeah, that's only fucking 2 buttons, but it's just not intuitive. It's not intuitive, which is the problem.
Guys, esse é o problema do League of Legends norte-americano, pessoal. A user experience do site do LoL Sports é muito ruim, pessoal. Eu não gosto também, não. Não gosto, não, mano. Mas, porra. Cara, no Brasil, a galera vê os horários. Pô, o pessoal, mano. VIP pra esse cara do chat. É do chat dele, né? Se eu descobrir quem falou ali, eu vou dar VIP no meu. Mesmo o cara nunca vindo na minha live. Nunca vai vir. Mano. Cara, tem no Mais Esportes. É a dica pra galera, ó. Mais.gg/extensão. Qual jogo tem hoje? Pô, demorou um pouquinho de carregar, tem que melhorar isso, ó. Tá tendo Bilibili. Quer botar só League of Legends? Beleza, só League of Legends. Então aqui, ó, jogos do dia estão aqui, ó. Tem leque hoje, você descobre aqui tudo na extensão do Mais Esportes e com o horário no seu fuso horário aqui já bonitinho. É, exatamente. Ó, digita mais.gg/extensão. Assim, ó. Dando o link da extensão para todo mundo que quiser instalar aí. Acho que funciona em outros navegadores, não só no Chrome, tá? Então testem aí. Quem usa outro navegador e me fala se funcionou também ou não. Como é que se dá para instalar? Mas, cara, é tudo
In
sobre
order
isso.
to make it show up, you have to go to the website and you have to click on leagues and then you have to enable LTA cross-con.
Passar mais para frente aqui.
Had the wrong leagues selected and I needed to click on this. But
isso foi antes da Red ganhar, tá?
Still annoyed. I'm still annoyed and I think the whole system that they've done, the whole rebrand from LCS to LTA and
Não,
all
isso
this
foi ruim,
stuff
isso foi ruim, isso foi horrível.
in a
Isso
sad
foi horrível,
state,
Double
and
Elite.
I'd
Isso
like
eu tô
to see them
contigo.
make changes.
Isso eu tô
Yeah, it's
contigo.
just,
Foi uma
it's just
merda.
like
Foi uma merda.
it just feels
Rebrand, foi uma
pathetic.
merda.
There's no other way
Juntar
to
foi
say
uma
it. Like
merda.
LTA,
Nome
it
foi uma
feels
merda.
like just super bad. When
Super
Dom
bad,
and Double
concordo.
agree on things, you
Aí, tamo
know
junto.
the
Concordamos com algo. Chegamos em
league
algo
is
que
in
a
a
gente tá
dark
junto.
place. Absolutely, bro.
Tamo junto
Absolutely.
nessa.
I mean, it just feels like there's a
Quero o
like
nome CBLOL de
LTA
volta.
fans, bro. They just feel literally disrespected by Riot. That's literally what it is. Like LCS fans,
duas
they
ligas.
feel disrespected by Riot.
LCS? A gente se sentiu respeitado, porra.
You did so many changes to make the league worse. When it came to formats, when it came to like, oh, we really like co-streams. People loved co-streams when LCS co-streaming started. Reminder, LCS was the first region to allow widespread co-streaming, right? And that was a huge part.
Não dá pra te ouvir nada, Eriquete. Foi mal. Melhorei aqui. Cara, deixa eu talvez tirar o filtro da... Depois eu arrumo isso. Mas tá melhor agora, né? Vou tirar o filtro do OBS. Não sei, talvez vai melhorar.
Of what made people like watching LCS.
Falando de co-stream.
I started co-streaming in 2020. My stream blew up. Ellis' stream blew up. Like, we were doing really well, and I obviously got banned. So I fell off a fucking cliff when I was banned. Thank you, Riot. But Doublelift, when I got banned, started co-streaming. He started getting insane viewership. He was getting like 40, 50K during LCS for like all of 2021. So people loved the co-streams. People were just watching me, Doublelift, LS, and the mainstream was also benefiting. It still had like good viewership.
Tem vários problemas que fizeram o NA virar a merda que virou e ninguém assiste mais e cair a viewership, etc. Eu entendo que várias coisas realmente ter juntado foi ruim também, muita coisa. Mas a pior coisa, do Dominate, você sabe, mano. Os caras torraram uma porrada de grana, ficaram contratando uma porrada de jogador europeu, etc. Que ficava, europeu e coreano, que ficava lá 1 ano e vazava. Não ganhava nada com isso, salários super inflados. Todo mundo quebrou. Parou de vir um monte de ex-campeão mundial, de jogador bom pra caralho jogar lá também. Né? Alguns continuaram, outros não. A galera vazou e etc. Um monte de player só foi lá farmar dinheiro, virou só um lugar pra galera ir farmar dinheiro e tudo mais. Parou de ter identificação com o seu público. O público não tinha mais identificação, não tinha mais histórias, tá ligado? Não tinha mais o cara que tem algo que se relaciona com eles e você vê a história dele, a narrativa. A partir do momento que o Bjergsen aposenta, o Doublelift aposenta, esses caras vão se aposentando, né? Vai perdendo referência, vai perdendo histórias. Aqui no CBLOL, isso, a gente poderia ter passado por momentos similares. BRTT aposentar, Revolta aposentar, o Exódio acabar. Isso tudo foi muito ruim, mas a gente foi criando personalidades novas, né? Teve o Ranger durante o tempo, tem Dinquedo, tem Titã, né? Teve a Loud surgindo, teve o Robô e o Tim crescendo. Agora o Tim aposentou, a gente já tá... Novas histórias surgindo. Isso, pelo menos aqui no Brasil, mano, a gente vem fazendo muito bem e eles falharam muito em fazer lá, tá ligado? Né? Os gringos que vêm aqui, a gente tenta criar identificação com eles, a gente tenta fazer, pô, o Croc, por exemplo, mano. Cara, o Croc, o Shrimp, até hoje, mano, se o Shrimp O Shrimp não consegue andar em São Paulo sem tirar uma foto, porra.
To just kill co-streams, right? They're like, you cannot co-stream regular season games. And then they try to like, and then they do the same shit they always do, where they try to like give you like the fucking return. They're like, no, this is actually really good for you, bro. Like, dude, it's gonna make your stream so much more hype. Look, if you like never fucking co-stream, but then you turn on your co-stream for playoffs, people are gonna be like, oh shit, he's co-streaming. I gotta watch this guy. Like, you're gonna have 10 times your viewership during that. It's like, I prefer to just co-stream the whole fucking league.
Eu não vou terminar de ver não agora, mas assim, é isso, né? Eu só achei engraçado, mano. Vamos voltar lá pra LPL aqui agora. Mas só achei engraçado o drama dos caras, mano. Mas assim, posso falar uma parada? O drama deles ali é meio que... Eles já estão tão desesperados também, que a galera começa a botar a culpa em tudo, tá ligado? A gente já teve momentos assim também da gente reclamar do nosso resultado internacionalmente. Hoje a gente já parou de ficar discutindo muito por que a gente é ruim, por que a gente vai mal lá fora. A gente não tá mais tanto nessa, tá ligado? Eu não aguento mais essa discussão, por exemplo. Eu não fico mais batendo muito nessa tecla. A gente tem a discussãozinha quando a gente vai mal e tal, mas, porra, não é... Né? Meu Deus, o draft da BLG. Tá ligado? Tipo assim, a gente não fica mais tanto nessa igual a gente já ficou uma época, né? Exato, a LCS com os fãs tá igual final de casamento mesmo, mano. Tudo é problema, qualquer coisinha pequena parece que é algo muito grande, tá ligado? Tipo assim, já chegou num ponto, mano, que os caras tá achando que o problema... Tem ideia disso? E o horário, você tem que clicar 2 vezes pra você ver que horas que é a partida, e isso tá sendo um problema da LCS. Chegou nesse ponto. Chegou nesse ponto. Zinzao as well, that ultimate, I think, creates so many issues for top esports. We thought maybe they didn't have enough damage in game number 4. Well, now they're gonna have an overwhelming amount of demand. Are we gonna be going for, I mean, are we gonna see finally the Aatrox, which we haven't seen? Cara, tipo assim, o cara picou vai, Ari, não vai, first pick, responderam de Caitlyn, Elise. Não gosto muito de Elise aqui, eu sou hater de Elise, mas beleza. Isso aqui demonstra, mano, jogo 5, quem tem medo perde, né? Eu já falei isso. Aí os caras voltam de Ari, que eu já ok, de esse Swain que veio, que depois foi de crack, o Shinzal foi muito bom. O Mordekaiser é muito bom também.
I'm a huge Mordekaiser fan, and we are getting a bin Mord game to try and force 1v1s and sustain through this pick comp.
O Swain, só o Jin consegue bater no Swain sem tomar dano dele, né, mano? E o Jin consegue usar o ult e o W, o auto-ataque do Jin, ele toma dano do Swain pra bater, não toma? Se ele não tiver canhão. Vai que é uma merda aqui, mano. Vai que não é pior que Elise aqui, não? Deixa eu postar aqui no Twitter. Mano, a Bilibili e TES resolveram decidir qual é o pior suporte do jogo. Elise ou Pyke. But you need to bring it home. You need to show that in your second year on a top level, façam suas, that you deserve the right to play here, that you deserve the ability to represent the LPL internationally. And what better to do it on his Ahri, a champion that he is well known for and has a pretty ridiculous win rate on.
We've had countless game 5s with multitude levels of stakes. All of them pale in comparison to where we are now. Split 3, upper bracket final, game 5, Worlds and Grand Finals contention on the line. And we will return to Summersmith for a final time and bring in those Jayos. Oh, no.
Oh, we're getting a level 1
Oh,
Slayer.
No.
It's game 5.
Elise 100%.
Both teams have seen each other.
Guys, come on, it's game. Oh no, it's
Meu Deus do céu, moleque. Só que a Elise fica invulnerável e sai viva. Fala da Elise.
Na festa do Carlinhos Maia, só lá bubu. Ela chega com Bob Goods,
Meu Deus, a Ari saiu de charme. Meu Deus.
Morango do amor, de pistache amor. Na festa do Carlinhos Maia.
O que foi isso, guys?
start off the game with 2 kills. That's a long sword and a moat there. BLG, we're getting scrappy in the early game. This is what we wanted to see from both of our teams. But BLG come out the victors for this, and we look at what was traded: a single Ignite for top esports and a multitude of flashes. We have had questions about On. He has had not the best series here. He gets hit with almost every single ability, but a last moment repel keeps him alive.
Eu prefiro o Bilibili aqui de qualquer jeito já.
Not even 1 minute in.
Hong doing due diligence to get one back with these charms, so they do get their 1 kill for top esports onto Jackie Love. But as we marked with these 2 compositions, the fact that BLG are coming out ahead early
Logo o Shadow.
is so impactful.
O Shadow, cara, o Shadow. O Shadow é esse cara aí. O Shadow, cara, o Shadow.
Pike value.
Cara, eu acho que Mano, eu acho que o Swain é muito forte nesse jogo, mano. Se o Jin não ficar forte, o Swain, ninguém mata ele, mano.
BLG's bottom lane grabbing more control, surrendered space by TES, and it's Kanavi. It feels like he has to come off his clear to provide some value. There he shows on the ward. On and Elk trying to race back. They have flashing cleanse on Elk, but On doesn't have it. Hong able to flash away from all looking for the trade.
Meu Deus!
Back to the
Meu Deus! Meu Deus!
And somehow, On once again escapes death.
Ih, chegou o Xinzal, gigantesco. Ele tem flash ainda, o Xinzal. Que isso? Por que o Xinzal tá com medo disso? Meu Deus do céu, mano. Xinzal matou mais um. Ele mata todo mundo aqui, porra. Nossa, ele acerta. Meu Deus. Meu Deus do céu. Bagunça é essa, mano.
It is 3 minutes. We have 7 kills. Only LPL possible.
Only LPL.
LCK, we would have had 0 kills. We wouldn't have had any of this here. LPL crazy is our game. And right now,
cara, como que o Xinzal não matou todo mundo ali, mano?
2-0-1, a bounty on his head. Kanavi with a similar scoreline. Hung has died twice in
cara, o
here,
Jin ficou
but
forte
a
aqui, né?
masterful ability to get right back into the fray. Barely doesn't get a flash undertow. That would have made Elk either
Canave é absurdo, sim. Quem pegou a bota? Sei lá, mano, a gente nem fala dessa parada da bota, mano. Meu Deus, o Knight vai morrer aqui ainda. Morreu, tá sem flash. Meu Deus. Meu Deus do céu.
Knight, he gets taken down, but remember, he had lost his flash in that level 1 trade. Any damage that Korean would have gone to stick, that is the punish that we wanted to see.
Eu já tinha pegado, eu tinha do Bilibili, não sei se vamos expor mais, acho que... Pensando um pouco ainda.Elive level 2. Mano, eles jogam muito aqui. Pô, acho que o Shadow e o Elk jogaram muito mal aqui, mano. Eles tinham que ter jogado junto, velho. O Elk tinha flash, mano. Eles tinham que... o Elk, pô, o Elk tinha que ter flashado essa... Mano, como é que o Elk toma essa porra, mano? Olha a Elise errando o casulo ali. Não, foi o Elk que trollou, mano. É, eu também acho, Matheus. Também acho, também. Fui meio precipitado. Mas porque pra mim eles ganhavam as lanes ali ainda. E o Xinzal tava muito grande. Nossa, mano. Mas, pô, vai morrer de novo Elise ali. Só vi Elise no meio dos caras ali. Eu falei, meu Deus, Elise.
Shadows on a ward though, but it's Kanavi on the
Meu
top
Deus,
side looking
mano.
for gank into Bin. This is a great timer to go for because
Quem
there's
foi?
no death realm for Bin to lean on. Instead,
He's looking for
he just has
6.
to eat the damage. He's trying to get 6. He's gonna pull
Meu
it off
Deus,
right
mano.
off 369, but he didn't have enough health in the tank.
Perdeu o ult aí
A
do Bin.
desperate play, but it's another kill found for Kanavi.
Man, I understand. You could see what Bin was thinking. He's like, okay, if I can fight in the mini wave.
Ainda gosto mais do draft da Bilibili, tá, mano? Mas muita confusão nesse início de jogo, velho. Muita vantagem de gold já. O cara vai aparecer aqui, ó. Ah, não, tá certo, tá certo. Cozinha pra Caitlyn, importante.
But 369, you just gotta accept the death there, brother.
He needed to teleport to the wave. He didn't think that the bot lane was going to be able to
Caitlyn tem a batedora, tá?
Elk, he opted for the call, so he doesn't have as much damage, but the lockdown from BLG is good. There's not even grubs yet on the map. This is the earliest dragon we have seen in this series. Bin is now even hovering around mid because he knows there's nothing for him to do topside right now. This is going to be the first Dragon at 620 here for BLG.
Bora, mano. Eu acho que Swain é muito forte nesse jogo aqui, velho.
I'm like struggling to take stock of this. I'm trying to catch up on some of these items. Who's so far accelerated? And it's hilarious that our two junglers are even in gold, but they hold 5 of the 10 kills, half those kills. Why is Bin bottom lane? What is happening?
Mata o 369 aqui.
There's nothing for him to grab up there.
Matar ele é legal, hein? Mata os dois aqui. Dá pra matar o outro também. Ou a gente tem que voltar? Alguém tem que voltar, alguém tem que ir top, pegar o wave top, né?
This is what feels like a culmination of so much this year. Not only the fact that this is a chaotic game number 5 to start, but Gragas, an infamous champion for 369. We started off the year talking about Demacia Cup, talking about Split 1, and how there's a famous clip of old top esports, Karsa yelling at 369, talking about, why can't you learn Gragas? All year we've been asking you to play this champion. You try to play Gnar, you lose into it. He finally wins Split 1 on Gragas, and he gets a farewell post, a thank you from Brother Karsa. He even tells him, hey, I finally did it for you. But here in this game number 5, he is falling short yet again. Now 1-3 on this Gragas, on a pick that seemingly he's gonna try.
Ele nivelou 2 kills em sim, foi muito bom. E ela ainda tem a batedora. Esse cara tem que ficar imortal aqui, mano. O Knight tem que ficar imortal com esse Swain, mano. Só o Jim vai conseguir bater nele sem tomar do ult dele, né? Cara, será que Ninja Tab não tem muito valor aqui não, mano?
Like TES have done through a lot of early games, Kanavi has made it a point to always prioritize these grubs in this series.
It has been BLG who have been getting, I think, the better of them across the series. We saw 2 grubs consistently when we had that Morgana game. We try not to, maybe trying to forget that game for some.
One Morgana game.
Exactly, there you go.
Ah, o Lag pega de boa. Assim, comprou os dois aqui ainda. Bomba, né? Level 4, né? Pike 5.
I love how these two top laners, they just kind of have to move around the map. Bin did get a turret plate on the bottom side and also pushed out those waves there. So
Mais engraçado que o jogo a partir dos
Now it's going to be the late rotation. Elk again very close to finishing his.
Você consegue a partir dos 20 minutos a gente vai ter um 4v4, né? Pode ser uma boa. Na real, Alberto, o que você tem que torcer é pra um time começar a estompar o game, né? E acabar o jogo, tá ligado? Só um time começa a matar e só ele vai matando e acaba o jogo.
That's just the game we have in front of us.
Oh yeah.
And it's awe-inspiring to think about how Shadow has had to step into this role and now have such a huge goal lead up against Kanavi, but it's again the
Meu Deus, toma trap.
That wasn't much of a fight coming across from Hong. He gets popped like a balloon. That's what happens when Pike gets locked down.
Cara, esse jogo é muito difícil pra vai jogar, mano, só que a porra do Kanavi é muito bom, né? Ele é muito inteligente.
She has to have no spiderlings every single time, and the self slow, as we saw there, sets up very easily for top esports to get punished. So Hong getting abused.
Imagina se lança um Taric aqui com o Swain. Nossa Deus, mano, ia ser insano o Ludovic. Só que aí acho que a lane ia ser meio ruim, né? Eles estavam. Só que assim, ele pegou antes do Pike a Elise também. Pegou pra combar com Caitlyn. Eles não iam pegar Taric e Caitlyn, por exemplo, tá ligado?
Trying to set up the death for below, or maybe just a harpoon. It's the Elk flash that has to come out.
Nossa, ele teve que flashar, né?
I'm glad that Hong understands the spy.
Tem alguém tem TP pra pegar o wave bot do Bin, talvez?
Honestly, all your score really doesn't matter. It's all about
deixaram uma trap ali.
and looking for picks constantly in this window. I cannot
essa play agora aí foi ruim, né?
useless
Mas tá de boa o jogo.
A late game Pyke will
Swain tá indo pegar bot.
So I'm glad
E a Caitlyn vai mid agora. Bin. Bin flashou, mano. De boa, né?
They don't know that Shadow is waiting in the wings. Kanavi goes for the cease and desist, but he is going to be set up for the kill.
Bin não ultou.
Onto Shadow.
Bin não ultou o Shadow, o Kanavi. O Bin tinha ultado o Kanavi. Mano, se o Bin ulta o Kanavi, o Shinzal... Tá ligado que o Shinzal destrói esse Gragas ali agora, né? Num V1. E ele ia destruir o Kanavi num V1 também. Vai no Mundial? Provavelmente não, Rafa. Tá meio difícil esse Mundial, mano. Só se a Riot mandar ou algum patrocinador aqui a gente fechar agora nos próximos dias aí. Estamos tentando, né? Conseguir fazer a boa. Knight tem ult, vai ter que ultar logo já. Nossa Deus, ele já tá indo pra cima do Pyke, mano. Pyke morreu já. Pyke morreu aqui já. O Knight tá curando, mano. O Knight tá curando. Ai, vai acabar o ult do Knight. Legal, 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 Bilibili. Calma, Shadow. Meu Deus!
Only end up losing 2 members. Oh my God,
toma, toma. Toma. Meu Deus. Meu Deus, o Pyke. O Pyke tá parecendo um campeão bom. Ai, mano. O Shadow podia ter matado o Hang, ele foi no Jack Love. Vai ser na China o Mundial. Gente, eles estão... Ah, provavelmente sim, mano. Estamos fazendo transição de tudo, né? Acho que a Riot não vai vacilar nisso com a gente, não.
At 13 minutes. It took all year. It took 9 months for this to happen.
Talvez o Pyke tava invisível também, mas ele achou que ia matar o Jin, mano. Se ele mata o Jin, ele talvez matava o Pyke depois, né?
Regular season all of 2025 versus a BLG comp or BLG team that refuses to lose in these best of 5s here in split number 3.
Não, o Beixuan jogou 3 jogos. Shadow entrou no quarto.
And he walks back to this play. That is how crazy these fights are.
Mano, é porque o jogo 3, Matheus, no jogo 3, o Kanavi deu um gap absurdo, assim. O Beixuan jogou de Morgana, o Kanavi de Silas. Foi bizarro. O Kanavi foi bizarro, foi bizarro. Eu postei uma play lá no meu Twitter lá. Vê lá depois, mano. Foi bizarro. Beleza, Drake pra Bilibili, alma Quintec, né? Alma ruim. Esquisito, é pertinho. Galera, quem puder assistir a live pela Kik aí, ó, cola na Kik lá, lcast.com.br, tu vai pra Kik já direto. Eu comprei o domínio, já manda pra lá, tá redirecionando. Terceiro jogo seguido, bateu o BLG. É, mano, o pessoal falou que eles têm 2 jungle porque aí o Knight não consegue deixar um cara deprimido, né, durante a série. Enquanto se ele estiver deprimindo um cara, já troca ele rápido. E é o rumor, né, que o Knight é um péssimo companheiro de equipe, né, que ele é muito difícil de lidar, ele é muito arrogante. Aí o pessoal ficou brincando com isso aí.
Knight has to be really careful about when and where he pulls his shot, because yes, he has Demonic Ascension and he has this Rylai's, which I think is going to be massive for this game. But I think that BLG
o jogo tá bem sangrento, mano. Shadow é safado, é preconceito meu. Ah, cara, eu não acho ele ruim, não. Acho ele ok. Mas é porque ele não tá numa prateleira que os outros junglers estão, né, mano? Tem Kanavi e Tarzan numa prateleira. Aí tem o Shun meio que ali abaixo deles e eles estão nesse resto, tá ligado? Depois, que aí é foda. Tem o Shun e o Wei, talvez, né? O próprio Wei também não é tão bom assim também. Nossa, mano. A trap da Caitlyn, quem toma e toma o hitzinho dela tá doendo, hein? A Caitlyn tá machucando já, mano. Casulo Delise sempre.
Top esports can't even contest for this though. Like they're so late. I think Elise gets even more value with all of these Spiderlings.
Oh, they get a pullback. It's Cream again that gets caught. Forcing ceases down of Kanavi.
Mano, o Kanavi morre antes da Elise cair.
Up Creek with no paddle. And it's Elk to find that kill once more. 369
O 369 vai tentar matar o Knight. Acertou. Creme. Nossa, o Creme jogou muito. Meu Deus, o Elk empolgou demais aqui, não? Matou. E o Bin nem tava na fight. Opa! Olha a Elise suporte ali. O que o On tá fazendo aqui, mano? O que o On tá fazendo? O On deu carona pro cara ainda. Meu Deus, On. O Bin perdeu o flash. Que bagunça de jogo, moleque. Puta que pariu, On.
They tried to use the Herald because they wanted to catch on, or they tried to catch Hong there. Don't even use it. That's a massive waste there from BLG because we've got Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. That should have been their setup to go ahead. Maybe you take one kill out of that trade. Maybe you catch out Kanavi, recall, set up for the objective spawning in 2, and put yourself on soul.
On tá off. Como foi sair da minha cidade? Mano, eu podia continuar na minha cidade trabalhando, né? Mas eu resolvi pra São Paulo em 2016 pra poder cobrir o CBLOL de perto na época e tal. Pô, eles conseguiram combar com... Não, a trap não pegou, mano, no Creme. Pô, era pra essa fight ter sido mais stomp, mano. A trap... Não teve trap no Creme. O Elk tinha que ter dado flash trap ali, mano. Se ele dá flash trap no Creme, essa fight ia ter sido um stomp surreal, mano. Ele depois acabou gastando... Ele não gastou flash na play, pelo menos, né? Tá de boa. Ah, mano, ali, que isso, mano? O que o On fez, mano? O que o On fez, mano? O que o On fez aqui, mano? E ele ainda saiu da fog e deu visão pro cara ainda, né? Meu Deus, mano. Dito isso... Tô torcendo pra TES não ir pro Worlds, né? Eu tô torcendo pra Bilibili aqui, porque eu gosto muito do Bin, mano.
40 seconds, Soul Point. I think Top Esports don't want to be in a situation where they have to hound BLG every 5 minutes around the bottom side of the map.
Caralho, que jogo maluco, mano.
Especially knowing that what we talked about this comp, right?
Vamos, Matheus. Só colar, mano. Mas eu tô torcendo pra não ser contra o Fluminense, né? Mas deve ser, mano. Vasco... Gostaria muito de jogar uma... O Diniz podia dar um título pro Cruzeiro, né, mano? O Cruzeirense merece, mano. Meu Deus, mano, o Shadow tá muito forte, moleque.
O Shadow, cara, o Shadow. Shadow é esse cara aí. O Shadow.
Chemtech Soul Point. How can you find a way in, Kanavi? You've been an MVP-like player this entire series, but they're asking more of you, Kanavi. How can you find a way to shut down this Soul? The traps just aren't letting them in. Kanavi, does he have the Vault Breaker to steal it? No, it's Shadow to secure it. Kanavi immediately has to flash back the way he came. But Shadow
vai pular no Creme ali, pô.
They subbed him in for a reason, to bring him in to end this series, and he's chased Cream in between their
Shadow tem flash, ele não vai fechar. Nossa, a porrada do Elk.
Down on that crit shot.
Cara, eu não quero zicar, mas o pai que tá parecendo ser um campeão pior que a Elise, né? Opa!
O Shadow, cara, o Shadow. Shadow é esse cara aí. O Shadow, cara, o Shadow, vai! O Shadow, cara, o Shadow, vai! O Shadow!
It's feeling inevitable. BLG are about to qualify themselves for Worlds 2025, and it comes back off of the entirely chaotic, unprecedented.
Como no jogo 5, Shinzal tá open e o Red Team Red Side tem Shinzal, mano. Como? Esse atacante aqui? Esse atacante. Tomar os jogos por extensão aqui igual esse, não, mano. Esse aqui tá... Não é todo jogo que é assim, não, mano. Esse jogo tá sendo muita putaria mesmo. Esse jogo tá bizarro mesmo. Desde o level 1, né? Mas é porque os caras não tem medo de jogar, não, mano. Olha os piques, olha os drafts, tá ligado?
Knight's gonna recall. I want to see this because he's gonna get himself a fully stacked Laundries.
Pô, gente, eu tô achando esse jogo pica, porra. Eu sei que vocês estão achando que o jogo tá feio, mas é porque jogo 5 geralmente tem um time querendo escalar desesperado e outro time querendo atropelar, mano. Pô, tá os dois times tentando atropelar. Eu acho pica, eu gostei, tá ligado? Pô, eu acho foda jogo 5 assim.
From a top level team in the LPL. But goddamn, does it keep working, man? It happened in split number 2. It happened in split number 3 off of what was supposed to be an injury for Beichuan.
E até agora, sem querer zicar, a galera que tá no meu Telegram tá achando bem pica esse jogo também, ó. Quem não tá no Telegram, tá o link aí pra vocês, hein.
And this is all just a single formality. Kanavi getting outplayed by Shadow, not a sentence I thought I would be saying.
Não, essa alma, sim, é melhor com ela do que sem ela, né? Tá ligado? Mas essa alma pro Swain e pro Mordekaiser realmente boa, bem ponderado, Vegito. Muito forte mesmo pra esses dois campeões. Pro próprio Shinzal também, né? Que já tá Shinzal gigantesco.
How can you find a way back in if you're TES? How doomed does this game state already feel at 22 minutes?
It's tough. I mean, it's only 1,000 gold lead here for BLG, but they're going to have a potential Chemtech Soul at 24 minutes into this game. One of the fastest Dragons we've seen, and one of the shifts of objective play is Dragons have been getting...
Shadow que jogava na Mad Lion, sim. Ele é italiano, né? Só que ele é sino-italiano, né? O jeito certo de falar. De família chinesa, mas nasceu na Itália. E aí ele voltou, começou a jogar na LPL também. Opa. 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 Meu Deus do céu, pegaram o Knight não morre não. O Knight não morre não. Chama eles pra festa, Knight.
Na festa do Carlinhos Maia, sola bubu. Ela chega com Bob Goods, morango do amor, morango do amor, morango do amor. De pistache amor, morango. Na festa do Carlinhos Maia.
Vai, Carlinhos Maia.
One-shotting them, on executing them with Pike. What happens when you don't have enough? What happens when you're behind?
Shadow, cara, o Shadow.
Obviously, this slow bleed out here for top esports, and it's now going to come down at 2,000 gold deficits to Miracle plays. Who is going to step up on this team? Is it going to be the Prince, the legacy player, the foundation for top esports for 5 years now in Jackie Love? Is it going to be the reuniting of 369 with this organization? Is it going to be the upstart in Cream, or is it just going to be a Game 5 victory for BLG, and we'll see them in the grand finals?
What can General Kanavi do on top of that? The player that has made this a series for top esports, with some of the biggest jungle gaps we have seen.
Essa música dá vontade de desviver.
But is such a barren wasteland.
Shadow. Caralho, mano, Pike é um boneco muito... Mano, eu vou parar de falar que eu vou zicar, mano. Mas, mano, a parada do Pike... Meu Deus, ele vai arrancar o Shadow. Shadow, mano, Shadow. A alma tá fria aqui, né? Parece que tá, né? Meu Deus do céu. E agora? E o Kanavi entrou. Meu Deus, bom ângulo do Creme ali no Elk ainda, mano. Só que não matou o Elk até agora. A alma procou ainda no meio da parada. É Bilibili. Caramba, mas bom ângulo do Kanavi e o Creme. Caralho, moleque. Gente, papo reto agora. Assim, deu ruim. Mas esses caras, mano, caralho, o Kanavi e o Creme são muito bons, mano. Até jogou muito, deu ruim. Vocês verem quão fodidos estão no game, mano. Mataram o Elk, né? Então... Ai, mano. Essa é pra acordar a galera. Essa é pra quem tá assistindo no notebook da faculdade aí, sem fone. Olha isso, olha isso. O Elk deu um cleanse muito bom. O Elk deu um dash zoado ali também pra cima, né? Ah, achei que o Elk não tinha morrido, mano. Não vi que tinha saído no Qzinho ainda. Tempão que eu não uso esse áudio aqui, ó. Vou usar quando a Bilibili ganhar. Opa, ziquei. Quando acabar o jogo.
makes it even tougher, right? Like, you're supposed to execute them.
Oh, hold on. It's again a desperation heap coming across, and it's Kanavi. He's just trying to make up for a mountain of a deficit. And with him down, you called it all. That's it. Being sayonara to this Baron next.
Man, what a year for BLG. They started off not even ending
Calma,
in
Bilibili.
top
Calma.
2. They
Vambora,
go to
vambora,
MSI
vambora.
after what was a run in the upper bracket, lose to AL, go and end top 4 at the midseason invitational. Split 3, they start undefeated for 8 series in a row. Finish 3rd after an IG upset at the
Esse
last
ambiente
day.
perfeito parece muito merda. Mano, vai contra comp de anti-engage, né? E comp que joga bem contra quem entra. É muito ruim, né, mano? Shinzal e Swain é muito counter, mano. Cara, Swain contra vai. Opa, aqui o Shadow, meu Deus do céu.
O Shadow, cara, o Shadow.
Ih, senti o cheiro dele.
Shadow, cara, o Shadow.
Much awesome history just in this year of this matchup. And then you go even further and think about what a painful and looming mark this is on top esports the last 2 years. If this game
Ainda tem Xal no jogo 5, não sei. Como o time Redside tem Xal no jogo 5.
In best of 5s up against top esports, a roster that looked very similar for BLG for most of this time period. And even when TES were up 2-1, they thought they could finally beat the demons that haunted them for the majority of this year. Looks like they're going to come up short once again, unless a miracle flies in the heavens for top esports. All that's flying through right now, disgusting amount of damage from Elk, as he will take down the mid-tier 2 and the siege is on.
This series should have been over already. Remember game 1, we started with a massive lead from top esports and they
Shinzal, mano, Shinzal é pique de game 1. Ele tá no Redside no game 5. Tipo assim, é meio bizarro, né?
3-1 series in favor of TES, but too many mistakes, too many inconsistencies from the mid jungle here. And I have to call it out. Cream had a large responsibility. Obviously, this game was incredibly messy.
E ainda na mão deles, né? Do Shadow.
O Shadow, cara, o Shadow. Shadow é esse cara aí. O Shadow, cara, o Shadow, velho.
I have no
Olha lá.
other words here.
O Shadow, cara.
A little bit of a sneaky stealth mission behind the enemy line.
Meu Deus, meu Deus, meu Deus. Olha o flank do Pyke. Meu Deus, o Pyke vai carregar o game agora. Não vai. Ah, e o Swain ainda, né? Swain aqui, God demais. Só o Jin consegue bater no Swain sem continuar habilitando o ult dele. Eu acho que o auto-ataque do Jin só com o canhão bate no Swain, né? O auto-ataque normal do Jin, ele ainda fica dentro do ult do Shen, não é? Do Swain, né? Eu tô errado. Acho que o range do auto-ataque normal do Jin sem o canhão não é maior que o range do ult do Swain. Só com canhão, né? Mano, o Swain tu tem que ter range, mano. Senão acabou, você não joga. Tipo assim. Ou tu tem que ter um melee que vai ser mais potente ainda na porrada no melee, tá ligado? Tipo assim. Tem que ter um Darius, tá ligado? Sei lá. É agora, é agora. É agora. Chama eles pra festa, Shadow. Chama, chama, chama.
Na festa do Carlinhos Maia, só lá bubu. Ela chega com Bob Goods, morango do amor, morango do amor, morango do amor. De pistache, amor, morango. Na festa do Carlinhos Maia.
Vai, Shadow. Vai. Meu Deus, o Pyke morreu, nem sabe como. É agora, Shadow. Faz teu nome, Shadow.
Shadow, cara, o Shadow. Shadow é esse cara aí.
O Shadow. É esse cara aí, ó.
O Shadow, cara, o Shadow, velho. O Shadow.
A Bilibili está no Mundial, guys. A Bilibili está no Mundial.
Shadow stepping up for the team. It took 3 games. We even saw a 4th game. He pulls out the Maokai. They get that game victory. They go to game 5. They bring in the Xin Zhao. He's been waiting all series to come off the bench. Shadow Man, Beachwan, it doesn't matter who's in this jungle position here. BLG are our first representatives from the LPL to go to Worlds 2025. Now it's up to them to see whether or not they finish
Vai,
as either
Shadow.
the first seed or the second seed. It will not matter. They have enough championship points, and they did what Top Esports couldn't do in split number 2. And it's them being able to beat up in the low in the upper bracket. And now, think about it. If you're AL or JDG, you're going to have to play up against an angry Top Esports.
And what a series that could be, knowing the form that AL showed in their last matchup, wiping the floor with an IG team that many thought were
Clipando
finally
aqui pra
in their
postar
stride.
no Twitter aqui.
That is all for the future conversations in the present now.
Olha, Tezer.
Billy Gaming in the last 2 years in best of 5 formats moved to 6-1. This is a series
VOD da LPL em
touted as
chinês.
a rivalry between heavyweight
Cara, deve ter no
superstars,
YouTube,
but as
mano.
the great Joel Embiid once said, for Top Esports, this isn't a rivalry. They just kick our butts, and that is what BLG showed in this comeback.
Aqui, ó.
Congratulations one final time to Billy Gaming.
Aqui, ó. Já achei pra tu, mano. Google.
Worlds 2025 representative. That will do it for us on the caster desk. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you the series of the year so far.
A série foi insana, moleque. Tá aqui o Shadow. A Bilibili está classificada para o Worlds 2025. Jogo 5 insano. Mas sinto que rolou um draft gap bem bizarro com o Swain mais Team versus Pike. Impossível do Cannabis jogar. Caralho, galera. Nossa, velho, tô até meio sem voz já. Pô, acordei hoje com voz, eu já gritei pra caralho, já tô meio sem voz de novo, né? Aí ele tá quase classificado também, só Bilibili ser campeão, mesmo se for contra... É, faz sentido, né? Porque já tem mais pontos, né? Ó, quem tá no meu Telegram hoje, agora a gente já pode falar dessas coisas, né? Primeiro que ontem a gente forrou muito na Red, né? Ontem teve um erro de percurso ali na T1 no início da semana, no início do dia, mas depois forramos muito na Red. Peguei Red... Nossa, qual é que esquece? Quero tirar isso da minha cabeça. Pegamos mais um e-mail Red. Peguei 2 vezes mais um e-mail Red, né? Peguei com R$1.000. Depois peguei a série da Red antes também. Pô, talvez, Matheus, vou estar de olho. Eu vi que acho que o Dudão, tipo, menos um e-mail Feneric, né? Hoje, a gente tomou nessa Bilibili aqui, mano. O jogo tava ganho, tá? Bilibili tava com o jogo ganho, tomaram aqui. Foi do nada, foi bizarro. Pegamos o Outdraft da Bilibili no mapa 3. Da TES no mapa 3, Outdraft da TES no mapa 3. Não peguei nada no mapa 4. Mas falei que eu gostei mais do draft da Bilibili ganhou. Então, quem foi, na minha visão aqui que eu falei na live, forrou também. E mapa 5 pegamos aqui o que pra mim também foi Outdraft por causa do Swain, né? Eu entrei aqui, o jogo deu ruim um pouquinho, eu entrei de novo depois. Devia ter feito igual o Matheus que mandou ali, ó. Ele só pegou depois, ele esperou depois do early game, né? É. Mas quem não tá no Telegram ainda, entrem lá no Telegram. Quem quiser me dar uma moral, rapaziada, crie conta lá na Bravo. É uma das casas que eu tô usando também. Não posso mandar no chat do YouTube, tô mandando aqui na Kik e na Twitch. Quem tiver no YouTube aí, quem puder entrar no meu Telegram, quem quiser criar conta lá, tem meu link. E também na Estrela Bet. Hoje a maioria das bets que eu peguei foi na Estrela Bet, inclusive. Então crie conta lá com o meu link, vocês vão me dar uma moral aí, ó. Beleza? Quem puder criar conta com o meu link, então vai estar me dando uma moral legal pra estar continuando sempre aqui fazendo as lives todo dia de manhã e tal com vocês, né? Ontem fiz live até quase 10 horas da noite. Hoje, às 6 da manhã, a gente já tá de pé aqui. Então é isso. Tamo junto. Eu vou desligar a live porque já tem live do Mais Esportes, tá? Já tem live do Mais Esportes. Beleza? Tamo junto todo mundo aí, então.